construction of the airport this coming fall and will begin seeking out airline companies to do business at the airport. The city council will discuss the nomination this coming Tuesday. I'm Andrea Tice.
For more news affecting Alabamians, go to 1819news.com. And while you're there, subscribe to the daily newsletter.
This is your roving reporter. Today I'm talking with a prospector.
That's right, man. I'm prospecting for gold. You dig?
No, but it looks like you do.
And you know the first thing I'm going to do when I strike it rich?
What's that?
I'm going to hire David Ernest to be my money man.
You mean everyone's favorite asset preservationist?
That is correct, man. I'm going to call him up at 833-596-7233. 833-596-SAFE.
You know, I've heard a lot of good things about David Ernest.
You know, he's the best money man around with over 40 years of experience.
Experience is necessary, especially when you're digging for gold.
That's right, man.
And I can see that you don't have very much experience.
What do you mean, man?
Well, you have the little plastic bucket and shovel like a kid would take to the beach.
Yeah, man. Well, I want to start out small and then kind of pace myself up until I strike it rich.
Well, maybe you should call David Ernest first.
You think he's got a shovel?
Never know till you ask.
I dig, man.
The views and opinions of the following program are solely those of the host and other contributors. These do not necessarily represent those of Liberty Acquisitions, Blue Water Broadcasting, its management, staff, or any advertisers.
It's time for Montgomery's conversational radio show. It's News and Views on News Talk 93.1 FM. To join the conversation, call 272-9228.
This is the Trump country. We live in the Southeast. We drink sweet tea. We don't drink socialist Kool-Aid.
Joey Clark.
Welcome into the program. It is indeed Trump country here. I don't know about Minnesota, but here in Sweet Home, Alabama, even on MLK Day out of Montgomery, Alabama, it is indeed still Trump country. And that's apropos today because to kick off this week, to kick off this show today, we have a candidate for United States Senate who just maybe just received an endorsement from President Donald John Trump. We have Congressman Barry Moore on the phone. Barry, how are you today, sir?
Joe, we are doing great. How are you?
Oh, life is very good for me. Well, I saw some in the press your reaction to this endorsement, but for my audience out there, just your reaction, and it came right on the heels of you qualifying officially.
Yeah, actually, the day after we qualified, we got the call Saturday night. We qualified, I think it was Friday. We qualified, and we were home Saturday night about 8:45, and he called and gave us his total endorsement, complete and total endorsement, and just, you know, he said, I know you were with me from day one. You've been an ally in the Congress, and he said, we're going to want to keep you there and send you to the U.S. Senate, somebody I can trust and somebody the people can trust. And so it was a great endorsement, and we were honored to get it.
Now, this is just in the realm of speculation, but I've heard the White House say at the end of last year they're going to be campaigning like President Trump's on the ballot again for the midterms. I know we're not a battleground state here in Alabama, but I know the people of Alabama always love to see the president in person.
Yeah, you never know. You never know. He could possibly show up. I'm not even saying he will, but the president, he does love Alabama, and the people of Alabama love him. So I never say never in this world. Again, we were so excited to get the endorsement, and if the president wants to come visit Alabama, we'll be sure to greet him and with bells on, and as always, I'm sure it'll be a great crowd.
Now, I want your reaction to some of this in the news, especially this leftist mob with, of all people, Don Lemon. They're recording it and documenting it. Stormed a Minnesota church, a Baptist church up there. I found the videos horrifying. What say you?
Well, I agree. I think they are. It's terrifying. And look, a long time ago, 2008, when Barack Obama said we're no longer a Christian nation, that was the time that we decided to engage in politics and run for the state legislature, because we know that we have to stand for our values, the Christian values certainly, And just the fact that the people that have been stealing from the taxpayers, that don't want to assimilate, that have been on the government's dime, and yet somehow they hate the American citizens, they hate our values, they don't care for our faith. Nothing shocks me from the left anymore, Joy, but this is just another day in a world of crazies and the leftists, and honestly, it's unbelievable they did that, but it just shows you who they are. More and more, they're pulling the veil back.
Yeah, it's a certain line definitely being crossed, and another line that might need to be crossed is I'm seeing the Pentagon is ready about 1,500 active duty soldiers to deploy possibly to Minnesota. Would you support the president if need be, if he declares the Insurrection Act or even something short of the Insurrection Act and sends in federal troops?
Yeah, I certainly support the president because the way they're going after our ICE agents who are there, they're federal law enforcement. They are, by law, allowed to be there. And when you start having this pushback and they're being targeted, they need some support. And the federal government has a responsibility to support federal agents on the job enforcing federal law. And so the president is within his purview to do this. And I think we need to go up and make sure our ICE agents do the job and get rid of these people that invaded this country illegally and are stealing taxpayer money.
And now also in the headlines, we're looking at Trump, a big True Social statement threatening tariffs against all of Europe over the Greenland issue. It seems the Europeans are already starting to wobble and be like, okay, we'll negotiate, Mr. President. But it seems the president's pretty serious about this Greenland thing.
He is very serious about it, and it's not Europe that's at stake. It's the United States that are at risk because of where Greenland's positioned and where Russia is, and obviously their ally their ally China, those nations that threaten our national security. And look, we bought the West Indies from Denmark, and I think President Trump's right from a national security standpoint, and certainly if he can get Denmark to go along and agree, and we can purchase that, I think that's a good move. And if the Europeans are getting in the way, they don't have a vital interest like we do in this fight, and so they need to sit down and be quiet and let us negotiate a deal. A lot of this is just Trump derangement syndrome, and those nations in England and France, those nations that have already started to fall, we don't need them telling us how to run our foreign policy. They mismanaged theirs. Their borders were open, and I'm being told you can't even get 30-year money in Paris and London now because of the invasion. And we've got, obviously, Russia's a huge part of the bad actors on the globe, and them to have access to Greenland to bounce right across to the U.S., I think the president's right in what he's trying to do. And, look, those folks need to sit down and be quiet, and I think President Trump he's a tough negotiator, but he's been right about every foreign policy move he's made.
Now, I want to say, and again, folks, we're talking to Congressman Barry Moore. He is a candidate for United States Senate over the weekend. Saturday night just got President Trump's endorsement. I want to say thank you for the vote you did in favor, I believe, Congressman Eli Crane's amendment to defund the National Endowment for Democracy. Not the whole delegation didn't go that way from Alabama. So why'd you go that way? Why did you think this was a good idea to fund that organization?
Well, because we know they're woke, and part of the problem is this runaway spending that we saw in the Biden administration and these NGOs just stealing taxpayer money and then coming and working against the very democracy, this republic that we love so much. Why would we fund people who are trying to destroy our country and these groups that get in and work against the American people and our liberty? And Eli's a good friend, and so he's House Freedom Caucus with me, and I always look at the amendments, and usually the guys that offer them, if they're conservatives and they've got the right approach on policy, then that you can trust that. But when we saw what was in it, we were absolutely a no vote on it, and a vote for the amendment to peel the funding out of the approach bill. But I am disappointed sometimes with Republicans. They just don't seem to get it, and they need to be doing what the American people want them to do, and not what the special interests want them to do.
Now, there's one here for me in particular. I'm very focused on the cryptocurrency bills. You could describe me as a Bitcoin maxi, almost Michael Saylor-like, but I'm seeing this market structure bill. If you don't know the details, that's okay, because I'd imagine some of the fighting right now is on the Senate side. But what do you think about the future of this new technology and how it might remake our financial system?
Well, we certainly don't need a central bank digital currency, a CBDC, which that's something that I've been against. But I do think that we as a nation need to embrace crypto, and I think that we need to protect that free market, and that needs to be treated as a commodity and not a security. And so surely I'm with you, Joey. I think it's a great technology. It's a great way to transaction business. It's rapid, and we don't need a government trying to get control of that. We just need to allow it to prosper, but in a way that we're leading the way in the markets. And so we'll see how it plays out in the Senate, but very often we as government want to regulate and control things, and this is not something we need to be too heavy into controlling. We just need to be helping them do business in a way that's good for freedom of transactions without the government's thumb on the scale, so to speak.
Now, as parting shots, I know these next few months are going to fly by. So if folks are out there listening, I guess tell them, what kind of U.S. Senator will you be if the people of the great state of Alabama elect you? And also add in, how can folks support you if they like what they're hearing?
Yeah, so everybody in the Republican primary always have on their brochure, they have Trump conservative. Every guy running, every girl running in a Republican primary, Trump conservative. But I would like to say this. I have been with the president since day one. I have helped move his America First agenda through Congress. And I was endorsed recently, this weekend, by him. And so I am the Trump guy, but I'm also conservative, Joy. I've had a record that's one of the most conservative in the delegation, one of the top in the nation. And so I think when people say they're a Trump conservative, I say, don't look at what they tell you they're going to do on the brochure. Look at what they've done historically as a servant of the public in political office. And then if they want to find out more about us, they can do that. It's barrymoreforalabama.com. And please go on and check us out, and we would appreciate their support.
Well, I always appreciate your time, Barry, and anytime you want to stop by, look forward to seeing you in these next few months here, sir.
Yes, sir, Joey. Thank you for the time.
Again, folks, that is Congressman Barry Moore, candidate to be your next United States Senator here from the great state of Alabama. He used to be our congressman around these parts until the federal courts decided, well, that is not allowed. I went from one of the most conservative, if not the most conservative guys in the nation, to being represented, so-called, by the former Deputy Attorney General Merrick Garland. Now, I'm not knocking Shamari Figure's abilities. Actually, I think he's one of the smarter guys up there in Congress, but I just completely disagree with his politics. And without moving an inch myself, from where I live here in Montgomery, I went from Barry Moore to Shamari Figures, and it's just like, wow, thank you, federal courts. But that's a big deal. Barry getting that endorsement so quickly, I was not expecting it that quickly. Troy Carrico here in the studio with me. I mean, what do you make of this? I guess Barry really was, I think, one of the first, if not the first elected official to back Trump in 2016.
No doubt. No, Barry's his record is earned. It speaks for itself, I think. It caught some of the other candidates by surprise simply because, and I'm not going to divulge any information. I'm very happy for Barry. He'll do fine there. He'll do just fine. And but there's always. Let me just say this: Trump is I believe that Trump is a pragmatist of the highest degree. Whoever gets to him quickest can sometimes get influence with him. And Barry's record, though, speaks for itself. And he's proven his loyalty. And we know that Trump values that above all things.
Oh, here. And though I have to say this, I remember it was my first kind of foray hosting a show.
Sure.
The 2022 Senate cycle. And what's interesting is Trump used the exact same language that he's using now for Barry that he used eventually for Katie Britt. That will never let you down is the phrase. But I also remember that where Trump endorsed a hardcore conservative with a great conservative score who was also endorsed by Club for Growth, Mo Brooks, and things went south pretty quick. Now, I don't think you have the same dynamics in this race. Number one, because Katie Britt's not on the ballot.
This is part of it,
Never underestimate her. But we'll see. I think there are other, forces in Alabama, and we've talked to many of the candidates, Morgan Murphy, Jared Hudson. I've talked to him in person. I saw him at that 1819 gala, but Steve Marshall. And, of course, he's saying, I quote, I most certainly don't back up. And he's vowing to stay in the race despite the Trump endorsement, Steve Marshall is. So I think we're still, even with this endorsement, have a competitive race on our hands. And like I said, May will be here before you know it.
It sure
folks.
will be. People say, "Oh, that's next year." No, it's this year, and it's right around the corner.
Well, and you heard me going through it with Congressman Moore, some of the top headlines, but of course, awful scene in Minnesota, the storming of that Baptist church. Now, thank God, no violence occurs, but there's a certain, so many lines have been crossed in the last few years, and I would say so many lines have been crossed by a lot of different types of folks. But I am not surprised that when the left doesn't get their way,
they resort to violence.
I think they would. Violence is part of it. I would say the chaos starts. They pitch a fit.
They agitate even more.
They agitate. Yeah. They activate a lot of folks who are consuming a lot of their weapons-grade propaganda. I think Trump's propaganda is more commercial grade. Everybody does propaganda if you're competing for politics. Stop kidding yourself, folks. But I'm not surprised. It's in their history. It's in their nature. Like the scorpion will always sting.
Yes, it will.
That when the left does not get their way, they will take to the streets. They will agitate. They will disrupt. They will sow chaos and then blame any sort of attempt to stop the chaos as an authoritarian crackdown, as a deep violation of our rights, that you are not protecting the marginalized victims of the world, and you people in here on a Sunday trying to honor the Lord's Day, you're not real Christians. Look at how white and well-dressed you are. And because one of your pastors is law enforcement, well, you can't have your church service. We get to be just like Jesus and flip over all the tables. It's what one of the guys said.
You know, I'm going to tell you something. The church that I go to down in Pensacola, and I know several of my friends, they have security details and they're armed. And let me tell you right now, had that happened down in Pensacola, they would have been met with a hail of fire of 9mm. So,
yeah,
I'm telling you, no one comes into a church and threatens like that.
Yeah, well, especially after also we've seen shootings, mass shootings in churches from deranged psychos. So when somebody you don't know storms in, and again, thank God this was more just lefties going like, well, we're the real Jesus folks. And it's like,
those are the ones that need shot. Sorry.
But it's just, it's part of the push. And I think the push is for more and more actual violence, because violence, I think from a 10,000-foot perspective looking down, violence sings its own song, and it tends to make any cause sacred. And it becomes these videos we're seeing on X circulated, especially a violent event like you saw with Renee Good, and you didn't even see the actual violence really in that one. It becomes a Rorschach test, and everybody feels justified because it's such a traumatic event.
It is.
Even if you personally didn't experience.
Well, yeah, right. And it's funny you say that, because I just penned a op-ed that will be publishing tomorrow probably, she said, our editor, on just this matter, because this is before the incident at the church. It only reinforces what I believe to be the case. But, you know, Joey, you look at this and you think, I look at the gallery of rogues, the usual suspects, pasty, marshmallow people, I call them, white and very disheveled and very, very misfitted looking. And it's just, are they mercenaries? Some of them are.
That was the vast majority, though. This particular group was intrusion into a church service, a bunch of fat black women.
I didn't see that part.
Yeah,
I saw the guy with the beard.
Yeah, they did a lot of the hands up, don't shoot stuff inside the church. So this is more like that intersection with BLM.
I read
on the streets, and a lot of the mayhem. You're right. It's usually the pasty whites who look a little raggedy. But no, this was a bunch of fat black broads.
Interesting. I got a friend who is a retired CBP, Customs Border Patrol intelligence chief, and he gives me every day on X a weekly INSUM, we call them, intelligence summary reports of everything going on around the country. That's open source. So it's not classified, but it's good stuff that you don't see in the media. He gave me a report from Customs Border Patrol and from DHS that said that part of the modus operandi now for this resistance, or I call it an insurgency because they're insurgents inside our country, is to use white women as the shields because they are less likely to get shot.
Yeah.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah.
That didn't work out good for Renee Good.
Don't try to hit somebody with your car. or freak out and hit somebody with your car.
Right.
Your intentionality
Right.
goes out the window when that happens. Here is the key clip. I'm sure people have seen it if they've been online at all, but just to refresh folks' memory, here's the moment where protesters decide, humble Baptist church, nice stained glass windows, I must say, very tasteful architecture in this humble church.
Probably Lutheran.
And is it Baptist, actually?
Is it Baptist?
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of Lutherans in Minneapolis.
Let's listen in.
The trace of you want to get your house in order? That is correct.
Renee Good! Renee Good! Renee Good!
Hands up, don't shoot. You can see families leaving.
Where are you? Where are you? Where are you? Where are your people? Why are you not at Whipple every day fighting for the humanity, standing for our people? Where are you? You drink your coffee, you got your jewelry, you have your nice clothes, but what do you do? What do you do to stand for your Somali and Latino communities? You have no comment, exactly.
Yeah.
It would not have ended well for them in our church down in Bitlala.
I believe you. Yeah, no, I've had the same emotions watching a lot of these things and a lot of these interactions. That one in particular, that is a certain line crossed, but I just wanted to give a flavor of it. And then the weirdest thing is there's Don Lemon.
Yeah.
Who's sitting there, and Lemon's acting like, I don't prosecute me because I'm doing journalisming. Oh, okay. Were you working with the group, or did you just happen to be near there and saw them, and then all of a sudden open your camera?
Can you spell that? Can you spell journalism?
No.
He's not the brightest.
Well, and of course he says he's a Christian too. And he was talking with one of the pastors there. That same pastor was saying, "Shame on y'all for coming in and doing this," while he's being shouted at. Well, shame on you for not protecting your neighbors or something like that. Shame. Well, here's Don Lemon, who just happened to be on the scene. Just happened to be there.
Yeah, I wonder why.
And he's going back and forth with the pastor. Let's listen in.
I mean, this is unacceptable. It's shameful. It's shameful to interrupt a public gathering of Christians in worship. So,
but there were folks who
I have to take care of my flock.
Okay, but listen, we live there's a constitution, the First Amendment to freedom of speech and freedom to assemble and protest.
We're here to worship. We're here to worship Jesus because that's the hope of these cities. That's the hope of the world is Jesus Christ.
I want to be very respectful. Please don't push me though.
We're here to worship Jesus. Yes. That's why we're here. Yeah. Okay. That's why we're here. That's what we're about.
Do you think Jesus would be understanding
we're about
love these folks?
We're about spreading the love of Jesus.
But did you try to talk to them?
He's an agitator.
No one is willing to talk.
Okay.
I have to take care of my church and my family, so I ask that you actually would also leave this building.
You don't want us to
unless you're here to worship. Unless you're here to worship.
I'm always worship. I'm a Christian.
We're here to worship.
I'm sure you are.
You know, the key word about the First Amendment is what, Joey? Peaceful. Peaceful. You can assembly.
Right. Well,
but this is not peaceful. These things are not peaceful.
It's not peaceful also to invade somebody's space.
That's what I'm saying.
The heckler's veto, so to speak. No, not allowed. Like, and the First Amendment also includes the freedom of association and worship.
Sure it does.
And, like, you can petition and make your voice heard, but that is, it's ridiculous.
That's not the venue to do it.
Now, I'm looking at a tweet here on, a post on X from Joe Rigney is the guy's name. He writes, 11 years ago today, I helped plant City's Church. That's the church we were just playing clips about.
Okay.
I served as a pastor there for 8 years, he says. This is a normal Baptist church. They worship Jesus. They love each other. They seek the good of their neighbors. And the left hates them and wants to shut them down because one of their pastors serves his community in law enforcement, putting his life on the line to remove rapists and violent criminal illegal aliens from our streets. The pastor goes on, the founding pastor of this church, and says the Democrats are the party of lawlessness, of cultural decay, social disorder, and death. It's time for Christian boldness, for courage and clarity about Jesus and sin. And it's time for our governing officials to fulfill their mandate and become a terror to evil conduct. They do not bear the sword in vain. That's what our nation needs. That is from the founding pastor of that church in Minnesota.
You know, Joey, you and I have talked. All it takes for this to continue is for people to stand idly by and do nothing about it. And there's going to have to be a show of force by Christians at some point.
Yeah, I would say this is where the president needs to lead. And you would ask for a governor or a mayor to lead, but, you know, Walz and Frey aren't going to do that.
They're part of the problem.
Yes, they are part of the problem. Even Jake Tapper asked him straight up, you know, why are you releasing... They put out a whole list of these folks doing awful, awful things. Right. You know, the people that picked up child abuse, sexual abuse, murder, all sorts of stuff. And why do you let those folks out of, if you have them in custody, in many cases you do, why did you let them out?
Yeah.
Why not just hand them over to ICE? And in fact, most of the deportations are coming from, say, red states, like a Texas or a Florida, that you don't see these scenes, number one, because you don't have the same sort of populations that raise hell. Remember, Minneapolis burned. They only still have 600 officers for a city that size, which is just crazy. But you don't see this also because it's not like out in the streets. ICE isn't having to go after folks. It's literally a handoff. And it's just astounding. But it's, again, I'm not surprised that the left's tactics are often, when they find the pressure point, they create inciting events. And what I would want is the president, if he needs to lead on this, because I'd imagine, they were saying it was the 111th Airborne? I'm forgetting the name.
The 11th Airborne
Division.
11th Airborne. The 11th Airborne Division is a new airborne division that was created in the past 10 years. It's headquartered out of Alaska, of all places.
So they specialize
But they
in
have
cold
a battalion, several battalions in the States.
Yeah, so they specialize in cold weather. And I'd imagine if you put that sort of force out there, like a lot of this, this going up to the line, playing with the line sort of stuff stops. People get real serious all of a sudden when you see something like that.
Well, you know what's funny is I saw a funny meme, and it had some of the Army units patches, and like the 82nd Airborne is 2 A's, like back-to-back A's, and it's red and white. It says, if you see this patch, rider, know that these are Alcoholics Anonymous. They're just looking for a coin, or they're just trying to talk to somebody. And then it had one that said, if you see a Ranger tab, it says, he's just a park guy. He's going to try to help you show you where the animals are at. It was just a funny meme, because the joke is...
Just a funny meme.
Why are you sending... Well, when I read my op-ed, I'm very clear. I think the military needs to be there. This needs to be taken care of. It can't be done under current conditions because, Joey, you've got local law enforcement either not willing to engage or willingly not engaging and encouraging not to engage.
Or they're so limited of a force, they're kind of there after the fact. Like, I've seen a few videos where people aren't even like ICE, and they're just going about their day. And they're like, say the words I want you to say, or I'm going to rip you out of the car and all this other stuff. And it's like, again, here in Alabama, you approach somebody's car like that.
That's what I'm saying.
Some of these videos, I'm like, you'll get shot very quickly.
So DeSantis said, he goes, I don't expect to have any problems down in Florida with this.
No kidding. Or that what is Sheriff Grady?
Sheriff Grady.
Yeah, that guy ain't playing either. But here is Harmeet Dillon. Okay. They're pursuing and investigating this, and they might very well use the Ku Klux Klan Act.
Wow.
It goes back to the 1800s. Let's listen in. This was on Biddy Johnson's show this morning.
In other cases, the Biden DOJ used the Klan Act conspiracy charges tacked on to the FACE Act in the case of protests outside abortion clinics to bring much longer sentences. So there are a number of tools available to us. Who funded this? What else? What other crimes may have occurred? Was there a use of the wires or the mails in preparing for this event? Did anyone cross state lines to do this? All of those are potential predicates for additional federal charges.
Harmeet, I've just pulled up the Klan Act because this is the first time that I've heard this mentioned. This is an act that was passed in 1871, correction there, to combat the Ku Klux Klan and protect African Americans' voting rights, especially the Enforcement Act, which is known as the Force Act. So here's some of the information on screen. Would you mind breaking down for us, because we have just read the FACE Act and how this is an affinity to the FACE Act, an obvious and egregious demonstrable violation of the FACE Act, because they were entering a place of worship, harassing and threatening. We just played a video of a bearded man, who was threatening to attack the Christians that were worshiping there. So it seems like an obvious FACE Act violation. But the Klan Act here, it is on screen. First time I've heard it mentioned. Can you unpack this for us, Harmeet?
Yeah, the Klan Act is one of the most important federal civil rights statutes, and it goes back to the time when President Lincoln emancipated the slaves, and yet the southern states, Dixiecrats mainly, were refusing to give them equal rights. And in fact, that you had sheriffs and you had law enforcement harassing the newly freed slaves. So the Klan Act is a law that makes it illegal to terrorize citizens, to violate their civil rights, to get together and conspire to violate the civil rights. It is often used against law enforcement, but is now used against others as well. So whenever anyone conspires to violate the protected civil rights of American citizens, the Klan Act can be used to bring a conspiracy charge. We, in the federal law enforcement parlance, call this 241 and 242 civil and criminal conspiracies. And so what the Biden administration did is, if 3 grandmas got together to pray outside an abortion clinic for the souls of the people inside, and including the unborn children, they would say, oh, that's not just a violation of the Klan Act, that's a conspiracy to violate the civil rights of women going in there to get abortions. And so we're going to add additional charges and punish that more and make it from a misdemeanor under the FACE Act to a felony under the Klan Act. And President Trump pardoned the pro-life protesters in those cases. I have recently defended successfully in the 11th Circuit a case called Oropesa, a case of Jane's Revenge, the pro-abortion protesters violently attacking crisis pregnancy centers in Florida. And we had the court uphold the Klan Act criminal enhancement to the FACE Act. So I know this is very deep in the weeds, but the point is, there are a number of things. The FACE Act is just the start. Like I said, you have material support for disruptive activities. You have conspiracy to violate civil rights.
You better get on it. And not just this one incident that has made headlines and gone viral, but many others, especially the folks funding this, disseminating the information. This is not just some like organic, some folks all of a sudden wanted to storm a church or wanted to all of a sudden block traffic and harass people. These folks feel emboldened. A lot of them are probably being paid. Who's paying them? Who's providing them materials and all sorts of things?
It's premeditated. It's planned. It's organized.
Yes.
Thus, it is an insurgency.
Well, we got to hit a break here. And when we come back, I want to hear that op-ed.
Okay, sounds good.
272-9228 if you want to get in line. This part of the program brought to you by Pest Pro Services. And they're at Pest Pro. Ashley and that great team are ready to help you out with any and all of your pest control needs. Termite season will soon be upon us. Why not get an inspection done, and they can put down year-round protection against those termites.
I was chopping wood this weekend, and guess what I found in one of the logs? Termites. So I immediately took it to the fire pile and checked the rest of the wood. So if you have that protection, you don't need to even worry about it. You know, it's
exactly. It's essentially laying down bait. The termites will hit that, and then they can take care of them before they ever get near your property. And then, of course, in these cold months, they have wildlife control. You've had this issue with birds.
I've had birds, and then I've had possums and coons come into the back porch area. So, yeah.
Yeah, so possums, raccoons, or squirrels, God
Foxes,
forbid,
anything.
even little chipmunks, mice, all this stuff. You don't want them making a home out of your home. Get them out of there, and Pest Pro Services can help you do just that. You can always learn more at ppsriverregion.com or search Pest Pro Services on the Book of Faces, or just call them direct at 265-9990. That's 265-9990, and just be sure to tell them that Joe and Troy, those fellas on the radio, sent you.
Want to carry News Talk in your pocket? Download the News Talk 93.1 app from the App Store. Available on iPhone and Android. Never miss a moment. Download now.
Trust Montgomery's glass experts to provide you with fast and convenient service when and where you need it. Find out how affordable independent glass can be. Free estimates on storefronts, shower doors, furniture tops, plate glass window glass, plexiglass, custom beveled mirrors, residential or commercial services. You come to them or Independent Glass will come to you. Call Independent Glass 263-2823, 263-2823, or stop by 2047 Bell Street near the entrance to Maxwell. Independent Glass.
From weddings and concerts to cookouts and construction sites, TT Porta Toilets has been serving Central Alabama for over 30 years. Whether you need standard portable toilets with wash stations or upscale restroom trailers for special events, the Tierce family has the right solution for every occasion. So when you're planning your next big event or project, make it easy on yourself. Call 285-5513 or visit ttportatoilet.com. TT Porta Toilets. Clean, convenient, dependable.
As a mom, comforting my family is what I do best. Vicks Vapor Stick provides soothing, non-medicated Vicks vapors in an easy-to-apply stick, and it dries fast, so there's no mess. I use it to comfort myself and my family.
Thanks, Mom.
Vicks Vapo Stick, soothing comfort for the whole family. And try Vicks Vapo Shower Max for steamy Vicks vapors when you need more comfort for yourself. Use as directed.
This is Jonathan with Oswalt's Apparel and Footwear in Prattville. With all that's changed in the last decade, I really thought that radio advertising was dead, but I was wrong. We opened our store during the pandemic, and we wouldn't have been near as successful without advertising on Blue Water. Practically every day, someone comes in for the first time and tells us they heard about Oswalt's on the radio. I highly recommend advertising with Blue Water.
Our advertisers are our biggest advocates. Call us to find out how radio can increase your bottom line. Blue Water Broadcasting. Local folks helping local business.
Love is in the air and on the boat. The Harriet II riverboat, that is. Bring your special someone for a romantic evening and experience the elegance of cruising the Alabama River. Enjoy a delicious dinner while taking in the stunning sights. Dance the night away to the tunes that touch your soul, or just sit back and relax. Roses and champagne complete your lover's evening. Book your Valentine's cruise for February 13th and 14th at funinmontgomery.com.
With the Wall Street Business Report, I'm Rich Thomason. U.S. financial markets, including Wall Street, are closed today for Martin Luther King Jr. Day, a federal holiday. Despite growing 5% last year, China says its economy is facing serious challenges this year.
The key to the country's growth lies in exports and finding new markets outside the United States after Donald Trump imposed tariffs on Chinese goods. Beijing still has serious domestic challenges. A slump in the property market has many households curbing their spending. Local governments are deep in debt, and youth unemployment remains stubbornly high. China has also recorded the lowest birth rate on record in 2025, despite huge government incentives to encourage more couples to have children.
The BBC's Laura Bicker. For the Wall Street Business Report, I'm Rich Thomason.
Rich Thomas Weather is brought to you by Clark Heating, Air and Plumbing. It's time to schedule your spring tune-up with Clark Heating, Air and Plumbing. Don't wait. Schedule today. Give them a call at 334-277-2125. Alabama certification number 88007.
Rich Thomas Weather.
Well, hi, everybody. This holiday forecast is a very chilly one with plenty of sunshine and a high temperature barely up to about 50 today. Mostly clear, very cold tonight. Overnight low temperature will end up in the low 20s. Tuesday's high temperature may not make it out of the 40s. I've got us around, let's say, 48 for a high, back to the mid-20s on Tuesday night, and a little bit better on Wednesday with a high temperature in the middle 50s. The next risk of showers holding off till Wednesday night. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
Budget Floors and More has the best prices. Carpet as low as 69 cents per square foot. LVP starting at $1.29 a square foot. Sheet vinyl as low as 65 cents per square foot. And the lowest prices on flooring installation supplies. Budget Floors and More across from Delray Publix.
The River Region's News Talk Station. News Talk 93.1. WACV. News Talk 93.1.
Today in Minneapolis, Minnesota, a group of activists led by Don Lemon stormed a Baptist church by the name of Cities Church during their worship time. They were screaming and chanting, disrupting the singing and the preaching because they suspected an ICE officer may attend the church. This is a violation of what is known as the FACE Act, and not only do we condemn this act, but tonight I want to demand that the Department of Justice investigate what took place in Minneapolis, apprehend those who broke the law, and arrest them accordingly. We must protect religious liberty in this country. As people meet to worship God, they have been given legally the right to enter, to worship, and to leave their place of worship. The Lord Jesus said, "In the world you will have tribulation, but be of good cheer, I have overcome the world." I have preached for many years that there will come a time when we'll find out who are Christians by label and by convenience, and who are Christians by conviction.
Amen. Welcome back, folks. And I'm looking here. I just spoke with the pastor in Minnesota whose church was targeted. Attacks against law enforcement and the intimidation of Christians are being met with the full force of federal law, Attorney General Pam Bondi said in a statement. If state leaders refuse to act responsibly to prevent lawlessness, this Department of Justice will remain mobilized to prosecute federal crimes and ensure that the rule of law prevails. Caroline Levitt saying President Trump will not tolerate the intimidation, harassment of Christians in their sacred places of worship. The Department of Justice has launched a full investigation into the despicable incident that took place earlier today at a church in Minnesota, Levitt continued. So now you say that this will come out, this what you're about to read at 1819 News tomorrow.
Should be tomorrow, she said, maybe for Wednesday, but she said it'll in the first part of the week.
So folks, y'all are always getting an early preview.
You get
here on,
usually we get
Joey
yours.
Clark Live.
Yeah, we get yours today. I guess
That'll come. My sermon will come at 1 o'clock.
Okay, good. I wondered where it was at today. I thought, well,
Let's talk to Barry.
That's fine. Yeah, he's important. And I want to say this. When I use this word, I don't use it very loosely. Insurgency. And we'll define what an insurgency is a little later in here. But it's clear to me that it has met certain standards of jurisprudence to qualify for not only that, but also sedition and treason. And I'll talk about why that is. The insurgency within. As a veteran who stared down insurgency in many different forms, and its ugliest for sure, I know the stench of rebellion when it poisons the air. Today, we peel back the layers of this domestic threat, exposing not just the street-level agitators, Joey, but the puppet masters pulling the strings. Public officials like Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker, Congresswoman Ilhan Omar, and Representative AOC Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez are just a few. These figures aren't mere bystanders. They're the architects of an internal insurgency leading a coordinated assault on federal authority in open defiance of our nation's laws. Listen up, America. This isn't random chaos. It's an orchestrated rebellion with these officials at the helm, conspiring to assert federal power, arranging for funding to come to these organizations and sabotage law enforcement missions critical to our security. Take the recent Operation Metro Surge in Minneapolis, which we just now are seeing, a vital federal immigration enforcement effort by DHS and ICE to root out threats and uphold border integrity. Yet what do we see? Governor Walz and Mayor Frey slamming the operation as both unconstitutional, and they are going to file lawsuits and to try to halt it dead in its tracks, claiming it's politically motivated and endangering public safety. Walz has gone so far as to label ACE agents as akin to, quote, Gestapo agents, inflaming tensions, encouraging protesters to square off against federal officers. Frey echoes this, demanding ICE get the fire truck out of Minneapolis and expressing deep mistrust in federal investigations, like the FBI's probe into the ICE-involved shooting. No mention of the previous BLM riots that occurred in his on their watch. This isn't leadership; it's incitement, a direct interference with federal mandates that supersedes states' whims. Congresswoman Omar, alongside Representatives Angie Craig and Kelly Morrison, was denied entry to a federal detention facility recently. But they rebuked the agency, demanding accountability and trying to violate rules and standard operating procedures while fueling the narrative that federal agents are the real villains here. Omar has called for no accountability today, meaning none tomorrow, while AOC pushes for prosecuting ICE agents involved in lawful operations, like the tragic shooting of Renee Good in Minneapolis. These statements aren't just rhetoric. They're rallying cries for protesters who have vandalized federal vehicles, blocked streets, and assaulted agents. turning campuses and cities into battlegrounds. Governor Pritzker, though in Illinois, mirrors this defiance historically, supporting sanctuary policies that shield criminals from federal deportation, effectively conspiring to undermine ICE's nationwide mandate and mission. Mark my words, this amounts to sedition and treason in some cases, but in every instance, sedition. The U.S. Code defines sedition, Joey, as conspiring to oppose by force the authority of the United States or its agents in its duties, or to prevent the execution of its laws. By suing to block federal operations, politicizing shootings to erode trust, and aligning with mobs that interfere with agents' duties, these officials are doing exactly that, sedition. Treason, that's when you levy war against the U.S. or adhere to its enemies, giving them aid and comfort. That's the Constitution's bar. Andrew Jackson, one of my favorite, opined, secession, like any other revolutionary act, may be morally justified by the extremity of oppression, but to call it a constitutional right is confounding the meaning of the terms. Encouraging resistance to federal law enforcement and federal immigration enforcement, which protects our sovereignty, crosses into aiding those who exploit our borders and are a threat to us. It's a slow burn coup disguised as social justice and activism, a long game strategy where the state leaders usurp powers reserved to the feds under the Supremacy Clause. Picture the fallout. Protesters ripping safe boxes from federal vehicles, honking horns, blowing whistles in their ears to disrupt operations, throwing snowballs and frozen water bottles at agents. All the while, these officials fan the flames instead of calling for calm. Frey praises demonstrators for, quote, not taking the bait. Get back out there, he said. Yet his words give cover to that chaos. Walz defies requests to cooperate, escalating attacks on our on the state daily. This leadership vacuum echoes the 2020 riots, which we mentioned earlier, where Walz and Frey were slammed for weak responses, allowing destruction to rage unchecked, corporations to leave as a result. It's the same playbook. Exploit grievances, recruit the disillusioned, pay them, and strike at federal targets to sow discord. We must rally, patriots, demand accountability. Prosecute these insurgents under the sedition laws. Deploy the National Guard with firm rules of engagement. When violence erupts or federal missions are thwarted, meet it with decisive, deadly force as merited. No more hesitation. Hesitation costs lives, as I have seen on foreign battlefields. Andrew Jackson also believed another thoughtful consideration. He said, when discussing these matters, consideration and deliberation on political matters is always warranted. But when the time for action arrives, stop thinking and go in force. That time has arrived. Verily I say unto you, good citizens, fear not. Our republic endures through vigilant souls, such as all of us. Together in contrived order, we will reclaim this order. Honor the rule of law, ensure freedom's torch burns bright. This isn't partisanship, it's patriotism. Right versus wrong, stand firm, America. Victory awaits those who seize it. We, the people, must coalesce and collaborate to fortify our nation, respecting the sacrifices that it was built upon, and identifying, engaging, and neutralizing those who would seek to destroy our beloved republic and our freedoms.
Troy Carrico, folks. And I'm looking at all the between the lines. I don't know if they'll go full sedition, but they are looking at, I think, obstruction to or conspiracy to obstruct law enforcement. Sure. The DOJ, that was confirmed on Friday. Looking into both, I think it's Frey, Jacob Frey, the mayor,
yes,
and Governor Walz. That was confirmed to CBS News on Friday from federal officials. So I think a lot of what you're saying is true. And also, again, if you have such a level of force, you saw this with the riots in 2020. As soon as you bring in the National Guard, a lot of this stuff stops.
Sure it does.
Because people don't mess with them. Because you know what will happen if you mess with
weapons.
So we want leadership. We'll see where it goes. And it would be nice to get leadership at the local level.
Sure.
But even of all folks, Senator Rand Paul was making this point on Joe Rogan, and Rand's, not one necessarily to be a crackdown guy.
No.
But if you're going to continue to defy and obstruct in this way, something's got to give.
Joey, how do you? Okay, so let's back up at a macro level and look at it. How do you end this? And people say, well, you tone it down, you do this. No, that's not the answer. How do you stop this from even coalescing to the degree it has. They have to disrupt the financiers and these organizations that are funding this operation.
Yes.
And that's sedition. Get them under sedition.
Well, and also if you throw in all the billions of dollars of fraud and you start tying all this stuff together.
501s, all the crap that they have. Yeah.
So we got to hit a quick break. Hopefully have Austin Branco on the other side.
He may not know whether he's coming or going, but whether you're going to work or coming home, Greg Budell is there. Mornings, 6 till 9, and afternoons, 3 till 6. Only on News Talk 93.1 FM, WACV.
For too long, Alabama's statewide news companies have shamed us for our conservative Christian values. Alabama deserves a news company that cherishes our culture, a company that isn't bought and paid for by the powers that be. 1819 News is that company. Run by Alabamians for Alabamians, 1819 News celebrates what is good and beautiful about our state, while exposing those who work against our values in secret. Just go to 1819news.com to learn more. Subscribe to our newsletter. That's 1819news.com.
E-Bike Oasis, E-Bike Oasis, E-Bike Oasis, ride for free. E-Bike Oasis, E-Bike Oasis, E-Bike Oasis, ride for free.
At E-Bike Oasis, we're more than just Montgomery's best electric bicycle store. E-Bike Oasis offers free 1-hour electrical bicycle rentals and a full-service electric bike repair shop. Stop by E-Bike Oasis in Montgomery today for free rentals, repairs, and electric bicycle brands in town.
Welcome to Eclectic Coins, Montgomery's largest coin dealer, specializing in buying and selling investment-grade gold and silver coins. And they have a large selection of rare coins and coins from around the world. Visit them at 543 Northeastern Boulevard or on the web at eclecticcoins.com. Eclectic Coins, where collectors who know go.
Live local talk, the River Region's only 24-hour News Talk FM station. News Talk 93.1 FM, WACV.
Welcome back. Let's go right to the phones and talk to Austin Branco with Invista Advisors. Austin, how you doing this Monday?
Well, having a great Monday, Joey. How about you?
Doing well. Covering all the craziness going on, continuing to go on in Minnesota and Minneapolis. But instead of getting into all that nonsense, let's talk about Invista Advisors and just remind folks, well, what you can do for them.
Yeah, so we are a wealth management firm, registered investment advisory, and we specialize in helping people in all areas of finance, but we typically begin with a plan. So if you're a listener and you have any type of financial decision that's coming up and you are not sure which way you're leaning and you'd like some professional advice, come to us, let us build you a plan and help guide your decision-making to a path that's suitable for you and your needs. It can be something as simple as saving for retirement or putting a kid through college or buying that first home or selling a small family business that you've spent your career building. If any of these types of things you've got questions about, give us a call and we're happy to take a look and give you some help.
And folks, you can always learn more at InvistaAdvisors.com, or is the number still 387-0094?
That's us.
Yeah, call them at 387-0094 and start that conversation today. They really can help you out in all sorts of different ways and angles wherever you are in life. And, well, I appreciate it, Austin. I hope you enjoy the rest of your MLK Day, and we'll talk again soon.
Yeah, thanks to you too, Joey. Talk to you later.
Again, that's Austin Branco with Invista Advisors. Coming up, I've got another, it just keeps coming out of me, sermon. But it has somewhat to do with what we'll get into the next hour. The geopolitical game continues. Now, in some ways, we're just repeating ourselves because we were on this early.
Oh, yeah. I think we've been engaged on the geopolitical.
Since like the first month when J.D. Vance speaks at the Munich Security Conference. Like none of this is surprising me.
No, it isn't, because they were shaping the battlefield at that point. So now we're seeing.
And then when we had Cinco in here, and then many other folks, and we've you and I just talking about it. It's very clear Greenland is part of this. The new reality of where technology is going and warfighting. And if you want something like the Golden Dome to work effectively against everything,
you need to have that.
You need Greenland. So, there's a lot of just common sense and logic to this, more so than the average bear, I think, wants to admit.
Sure.
Or the anti-war people want to, go to the wambulance about. And it's like, guys. This is better than the internationalist, neocon, globalist thing. It's not full Ron Paul, but we ain't in a world like that for the time being.
You got to ask yourself this question. If, let's say, Trump wasn't president, let's say it was, heaven forbid, Kamala or whatever, but we were going through and wanting to get Greenland as part of our strategic defense initiative, do you think the left would be making a big fuss about it? Do you think?
Just a little bit.
You think so? Just a little bit? You think that this is more of a down the line, America doesn't colonialize, America doesn't imperialize?
Yeah, I think there's some of that idealistic thing going on.
But then when you try to explain to people what Guam is, what the Philippines was,
Well, I think most
Puerto Rico.
I know this is very undemocratic to me, but most of these big like geopolitical great game things,
the great game,
the people's opinion doesn't matter.
It really no.
And stuff they'll be against, like in polling 2 months before, they'll be all for once you get the deal.
And I had a listener and someone who commented on one of my articles about realpolitik and said, "You're not including the moral piece of this, sir." He was critiquing me, and I said, "Then I can't explain any more to you if you're going to put morality."
Where
into
the
this.
people's opinion on matters of war matters when American sons and daughters come back in body bags.
Sure,
that's when
different.
the people
that's
definitely
that's
have a
different.
say.
There's more invested at that point. Yeah.
But when you're talking about this
soft power,
right, and the tariffs being used, anyway.
Yeah.
We'll be right back after this.
Broadcasting from the Riverside Chevrolet Master Control Center, this is WACV Cusada, News Talk 93.1 FM. When it's Chevy, it's Riverside.
With SRN News, I'm Bob Agnew in Washington. President Trump has linked his aggressive stance on Greenland to yester's decision not to award him the Nobel Peace Prize. He told Norway's prime minister that he no longer feels what he called an obligation to think purely of peace. That's according to text messages released by Norway. The president's message to the prime minister there appears to ratchet up a potential standoff between Washington and its closest allies over his threat to take over Greenland, he says, for U.S. security purposes. The National Religious Broadcasters is strongly condemning what it calls the premeditated attack on City's Church in St. Paul, Minnesota yesterday. That's where radical protesters stormed the sanctuary and terrorized worshipers during a Sunday service yesterday. That's because one of the pastors there is reportedly bivocational and takes part in the ICE raids. This is SRN News.
Everybody loves the season of giving, but now the season of paying for it is upon us. That not-so-wonderful time of the year when millions of Americans open their credit card statements, stare in horror at the balance, and resolve then and there to find new ways to save money. If you're among those Americans, why not start by cutting your wireless bill in half right now with Pure Talk's Saver Plan? It's easy. You'll get unlimited talk, text, and 3 gigs of high-speed data on a super-fast, nationwide 5G network for just $20 a month. Just dial pound 250, say Mike Rowe, and you'll save an additional 50% off your first month. Ho, ho, ho! And if you're active or former military or a first responder, you'll save an additional 20% every single month. That's pound 250. Say Mike Rowe for the gift that keeps on saving from America's wireless company.
Rich Thomas Weather is brought to you by McPhillips Shinbaum.
My name is Aaron Luck, a partner with the law firm of McPhillips Shinbaum. If you or someone in your family has been seriously injured by the negligence of someone else, call me directly.
262-1911. Rich Thomas Weather.
Well, hi, everybody. This holiday forecast is a very chilly one with plenty of sunshine and a high temperature barely up to about 50 today. Mostly clear, very cold tonight. Overnight low temperature will end up in the low 20s. Tuesday's high temperature may not make it out of the 40s. I've got us around, let's say, 48 for a high, back to the mid-20s on Tuesday night, and a little bit better on Wednesday with a high temperature in the middle 50s. The next risk of showers holding off till Wednesday night. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
CB&S Bank has a long history of stability and a legacy of serving our community's needs for generations since we began in 1906. At CB&S Bank, we're here for you. All loans subject to credit approval, member FDIC, and equal housing lender.
From the Blue Water Broadcasting News Center, these are today's top stories. Prattville police are investigating a stabbing that left 2 people injured. The incident happened around 10 o'clock Friday night at the Longhorn Steakhouse, where a fight broke out during a birthday party celebration and 2 people were stabbed. 45-year-old Charles Pullum was arrested and charged with first-degree assault. The city of Montgomery has received clearance to demolish 2 long-abandoned hotels. The Candlelight Hotel on West South Boulevard and the nearby Days Inn have both been approved for demolition. The action is made possible through a $4 million HUD grant. Demolition is expected to begin in March. The Denver Broncos are turning to former Auburn quarterback Jarrett Stidham to start the AFC Championship game. Regular starter Bo Nix suffered a season-ending broken ankle in Denver's divisional playoff win on Saturday. Bo Nix followed Jarrett Stidham as Auburn's starting quarterback in 2019. Now, for the Denver Broncos, that order is being reversed. From the Blue Water Broadcasting News Center, I'm Sky Mosley.
This hour of news and views is brought to you by our good friends at Alabama Home Mortgage. Alabama Home Mortgage, 567-4223. Visit them on the web at myalabamahomemortgage.com. NMLS number 1586368. An equal housing lender.
Hi there, I'm Kim Williams with Alabama Home Mortgage. For years, I've been asking you to call me at Alabama Home Mortgage because there is a difference in mortgage companies. Did you know the current national average turn time to close on a mortgage is 48 business days? But not at Alabama Home Mortgage. At Alabama Home Mortgage, our average close time is 16 business days. That's a month faster than the rest. How do we do it? With over 60 years of combined experience in the industry. Our team knows mortgages. Our years of experience yield a better experience for our customers. Folks, time is money. Whether you're looking to buy or refi, don't waste time with another mortgage company, bank, or credit union. We close on time, every time. Give Alabama Home Mortgage a call at 567-4223. That's 567-4223. Or visit us online at myalabamahomemortgage.com to complete an application on your time. Our fast turn time is just one difference that sets us apart from the rest. It's not just a slogan. Call Alabama Home Mortgage because there is a difference in mortgage companies. NMLS 1586368, equal housing lender.
Hi, I'm Carl Schmidt, naturopath and owner of the Herb Shop Wellness Center at 8161 Vaughan Road. You know, with over 30 years experience in natural wellness, I've seen countless health fads come and go. A few years ago, we added a patented technology that actually activates your stem cells. It reverses the aging process at the cellular level. However, you do need proper hydration and targeted nutrition. At the Herb Shop, our advanced scanning and testing technology allows us to accurately assess your nutritional needs and get a customized plan for you. Come in today and see what the Herb Shop can do for you.
The new year means new resolutions, not just for your body, but for your finances as well. Did you know that financial health is directly related to your identity protection? This is why you need LifeLock. LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points per second. If your identity is stolen, LifeLock's restoration specialist will fix it, guaranteed, or your subscription money back. Resolve to make your identity, health, and wealth part of your New Year's goals with LifeLock. Visit LifeLock.com and save up to 40% off your first year with the promo code BECK. Terms apply.
The views and opinions of the following program are solely those of the host and other contributors. These do not necessarily represent those of Liberty Acquisitions 825, Blue Water Broadcasting, its management, staff, or any advertisers. It's time for Montgomery's conversational radio show. It's News and Views on News Talk 93.1 FM. To join the conversation, call 272-9228.
I'm a better looking person than Kamala.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back. I'm your host, Joey Clark. And, all the talk of Greenland and the great game that is now back in play, maybe it never left. Some believe that even though the British Empire changed into the American Empire, so to speak, the Brits have still kept the reins in some ways. Long history of, actually the Monroe Doctrine was a British policy. You notice the Brits never had any trouble in our hemisphere.
No, they didn't.
So there's the great games of geopolitics are always afoot. And, of course, with Greenland, you're seeing that in a more obvious way in Trump's classic, just brash style. So I went, of course, to the good book.
Yes.
To the Bible. Actually, I just finished the book of Revelation. And a great Like if you're going to read the Old Testament through the light of the New, if you're reading the book of Revelation, you have to read the book of Daniel.
Sure.
And so I was my nose deep into the book of Daniel over last week, and especially this past Sunday yesterday. And, well, this essay is called "The Most High Rules the Kingdom of Men and Gives It to Whom He Will." While the words were still in the king's mouth, there fell a voice from heaven. "O King Nebuchadnezzar, to you it is spoken, the kingdom has departed from you, and you shall be driven from among men, and your dwelling shall be with the beasts of the field, and you shall be made to eat grass like an ox, and 7 times shall pass over you, until you have learned that the Most High rules the kingdom of men, and gives it to whom he will." That's Daniel 4:31 through 32. The world has been thrown into another age of great power, competition. The race for dominion is on. The race to arms, intelligence, and resources, oil, gold, silver, copper, and elements much rarer than bronze. The great image of international law seems flimsy, a broken down thing once built by mighty men who shared in a fool's hope that by their laws, might would never be allowed to make right again. Yet might is might and right is right, neither does the other make. And those who are right without might must tragically learn to suffer their fate. Through confusion and doubt we must tread new routes, yet, for all the nimble and practical steps we take, we must first remember to humble ourselves or be humbled by a test of faith. How do we unwind this ball of confusion and bring peace to our competitions for dominion over the earth? How do we build a kingdom that has no end, where even the lowliest man, woman, and child has worth? Men try to unwind their confusion and competitions and bring peace with their iron laws. Yet for all their boasts and bets, promises and threats, for all their images of glory cast in gold, silver, and bronze, men of clay are nothing compared to the ways of God. God's unwinding builds a kingdom out of nothing, struck from a seed of stone not made by human hands. Man's unwinding always falls into nothing, shattered by the stone seed that becomes a mountain over all lands. The higher man climbs for the sake of his glory alone, the greater his rapid unplanned disassembly and fall. Yet with God, man can brave the highest summits and with the smallest seed move mountains without fear of fall. The Most High rules the kingdom of men and gives it to whom he will. That phrase appears 3 times in the 4th chapter of the book of Daniel, 4:17, 4:25, 4:32. Twice as a warning, and once as fulfillment. A teaching refrain whereby God humbles the mighty king of Babylon, Nebuchadnezzar. Yeah. Yet, the refrain's lesson is not meant for Nebuchadnezzar alone. Have not many Nebuchadnezzars, many Babylons, many mighty men and kingdoms risen in time only to be humbled? Indeed, the same refrain is soon echoed a 4th time in Daniel 5 to bring King Belshazzar, who seems to have learned nothing from his father's own test of faith, just 1 generation away. This is Daniel 5:22 through 23. "And you, his son, Belshazzar, have not humbled your heart, though you knew all this. But you have lifted up yourself against the Lord of heaven. And the vessels of his house have been brought in before you, and you and your lords, your wives, and your concubines have drunk wine from them. And you have praised the gods of silver and gold, of bronze, iron, wood, and stone, which do not see or hear or know. But the God in whose hand is your breath, and whose are all your ways, you have not honored." The same refrain, the same lesson, has echoed through the millennia, reminding all proud generations of their unwinding fate, from emperors, kings, and princes to the presidents running today's great race. How do we unwind this ball of confusion and bring peace to our competitions for dominion once again? How do we build a kingdom that has no end, where even the lowliest man, woman, and child is freed from the wages of sin? Perhaps we should learn the lesson Nebuchadnezzar learned
from God's humbling refrain. Now turn to Daniel 4:33 through 35. Immediately the word was fulfilled upon Nebuchadnezzar. He was driven from among men and ate grass like an ox, and his body was wet with the dew of heaven till his hair grew as long as eagle's feathers, and his nails were like birds' claws. At the end of the days, I, Nebuchadnezzar, lifted my eyes to heaven, and my reason returned to me. And I blessed the Most High, and praised and honored him who lives forever. For his dominion is an everlasting dominion, and his kingdom endures from generation to generation. All the inhabitants of the earth are accounted as nothing, and he does according to his will in the host of heaven and among the inhabitants of the earth. And none can stay his hand, or say to him, what doest thou? That will come out tomorrow. The Most High rules the kingdom of men and gives it to whom he will. Or that last line could be saying to God, what did you do? Yeah. Okay, good luck with that.
And he
approach.
would say to you, where were you at when I created the heavens and the earth?
Right.
Where were you?
Right, but I see this great game, and there's going to be a lot of practical steps. And but I hope, especially our, let's say, president, who sometimes is a bit proud, at least when nobody's looking, is humbling himself.
Yeah.
Before the Most High.
You know what's funny too
Where he's
about that?
playing
When you
very
say
dangerous
that,
game.
when you say that, we talked about this, and you've said it before. I know many times I've heard you. People have this perception of Trump, but apparently he's not that arrogant on one-on-one. He's very charming and very, very.
He's a great listener.
He's definitely he's image conscious. He understands how to project power, but I think at the core, he's changed a lot, I think, since the assassination attempt on him. But
well, and also the what's the thing that makes Nebuchadnezzar lose his mind and eat the grass like an ox and all this other stuff? It's because he is warned, and it's been proven to him with Daniel's interpretation of his first dream. That this guy is truly with the king in heaven.
That's right.
And yet he's warned. Don't do this for your own glory and honor. And there's just one day, even after he has another dream, and it's interpreted by Daniel, and he's like, "Oh man, that's rough." He goes up to like a high balcony overlooking, and he says to himself, "Oh, look at Babylon! I built it with my own glory and majesty." And that's
Pride
when the
and
voice comes down from heaven and goes, "No, you're going to learn. You are going to learn." 272-9228. That's 334-272-9228. Yeah, in the book of Daniel, I think there's a lot of imagery that it takes some. It's on first read, it's like what does that mean? But the storytelling in other parts of the book, like Belshazzar, his son, like when he brings in like all the vessels from the old temple,
right,
and fills them with wine, and it's like, here, drink it, you whore. It's like he is not. He's gonna get it.
Take crypto,
and I believe he doesn't get the same grace as his father. He dies the next night, and his kingdom is given over to somebody else.
So you'll find this interesting. When I was in Iraq in 2003 and in 2006, I happened to be in Nineveh and in Babel province, and went to where I got to visit the site where they think the old Hanging Gardens was at there from Babylon, and there was a memorial there talking about Daniel, of all things, right in the middle of the season, but about how Nebuchadnezzar fell from grace and all this stuff and is prophesizing it. And I thought to myself, I looked at it, I go, that's ironic, isn't it? I said, looking around, I said, here we are, and this is the land of Nebuchadnezzar. And oddly enough, one of the divisions we fought in the Republican Guard was the Nebuchadnezzar division.
Wow.
But I said, the problem with irony, though, is not everybody gets it. So.
Yeah, no, it's where I think, in particular, if you could open up more of that part of the world, though apparently, I think I saw today, all U.S. troops have left.
Yeah.
And we are only in Kurdish areas.
We consolidated up in the Mosul area. We've consolidated everybody there.
And,
safely.
there's a lot of noises being made if you think about the great geopolitical games going on. Turkey, Erdogan still wants to be kind of king of a new Ottoman Empire, and so he's speaking nicely about helping the Iranians out and bringing a stable peace to Syria, making sure that holds on. Some reports that some ISIS prisoners were released by the Syrian government, though they deny it. And they also did an official recognition of the Kurds as a people of Syria.
Right, and one of the two things there. Number one, I think The Turks worry about a new Kurdistan being formed out of the northwest northwest section of Iran. But anyways, Waristan province, I believe it is. Anyways, you said something very important. I think that bears mentioning is that, and I lost my train of thought. Sorry. Never mind.
About Turkey or
it was
about Syria?
Turkey. When it was it was. Did you see what was more troubling was the Turkish? There was allegations that there was several hundreds or dozens of prisoners released from prisons to go fight in Iran. Did you see that there was 3,000 loyal Shia militiamen that bussed over from Iraq to go enforce rules? So they say, well, the government wasn't doing it. It was
our buddies that we busted.
And it was the Jewish and the Americans troops that were doing
gracious.
Come on, man.
Come on, man is right. Now, I also, it struck me because I want to read the statement that Donald Trump put out, I guess, 2 days ago that shocked the Europeans. It kind of reads like something Nebuchadnezzar would put out. This is why I'm like, hey, Donald, humble yourself, Mr. President. But because sometimes like these decrees, especially a long one like this, is like, okay, this is like history. For better or worse, this is history being made right now. Here is what Trump said, long True Social post. We have subsidized Denmark and all of the countries of the European Union and others for many years by not charging them tariffs or any other forms of remuneration. Now, after centuries, it's time for Denmark to give back. World peace is at stake. China and Russia want Greenland, and there is not a thing that Denmark can do about it. They currently have 2 dog sleds as protection, one added recently. Only the United States of America, under President Donald J. Trump, that's in all caps, can play this game, and very successfully at that. Nobody will touch this sacred piece of land, especially since the national security of the United States and the world at large is at stake. On top of everything else, Denmark, Norway, Sweden, France, Germany, the United Kingdom, the Netherlands, and Finland have journeyed to Greenland for purposes unknown. This is a very dangerous situation for the safety, security, and survival of our planet. These countries who are playing this very dangerous game have put a level of risk in play that is not tenable or sustainable. Therefore, it is imperative that in order to protect global peace and security, strong measures must be taken so that this potentially perilous situation end quickly and without question. Starting on February 1st, 2026, all of the above-mentioned countries, Denmark, Norway, Sweden, France, Germany, your underpants, I added that, the United Kingdom, the Netherlands, and Finland will be charged a 10% tariff on any and all goods sent to the United States of America. On June 1st, 2026, the tariff will be increased to 25%. This tariff will be due and payable until such time as a deal is reached for the complete and total purchase of Greenland. The United States has been trying to do this transaction for over 150 years. Many presidents have tried, and for good reason, but Denmark has always refused. Now, because of the Golden Dome and modern-day weapon systems, both offensive and defensive, the need to acquire is especially important. Hundreds of billions of dollars are currently being spent on security programs having to do with the dome, including for the possible protection of Canada. And this very brilliant but highly complex system can only work at its maximum potential and efficiency because of angles, mets, and bounds, if this land is included in it. The United States of America is immediately open to negotiate with Denmark and or any of these countries that have put so much at risk, despite all that we have done for them, including maximum protection over so many decades. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Donald J. Trump, President of the United States of America.
So you know, that's for the listeners. What he was describing there in scientific terms is angle of declination, angle of inclination of firing. Okay. And so there is truth to that. Let's just say this. So let's examine the logic of the Europeans that sent this small, meager little force. Listen, Joey, would you rather fight America? And you're scared of Russia, but you want to tangle with America? Right. I don't quite get it.
And this is what Trump said. You should focus on the Ukraine-Russia war.
You should really worry about what's going on.
Less about us with Greenland.
That's right.
But a new letter from the President of the United States to, I guess, who the state minister or the prime minister and leader of the Norwegian Labour Party.
Okay.
Prime Minister of Norway. President Trump has asked that the following message shared with Prime Minister Jonas be forwarded to you. Okay. This is Trump talking to the Prime Minister of Norway. Hey. Dear Jonas, considering your country decided not to give me the Nobel Peace Prize for having stopped 8 wars, plus I no longer feel an obligation to think purely of peace, although it will always be predominant, but can now think about what is good and proper for the United States of America. Denmark cannot protect the land from Russia or China. And why do they have a right to ownership anyway? There are no written documents. It's only that a boat landed there hundreds of years ago, but we had boats landing there also. I have done more for NATO than any other person since its founding, and now NATO should do something for the United States. The world is not secure unless we have complete and total control of Greenland. Thank you, President DJT. He sent that to the press.
Quid, you know what he's saying? Quid pro quo, baby. You give us something in return. I love it. I love it.
My goodness.
He's still hacked about that Nobel Peace Prize.
Yes, he is. Well, especially because, Obama got the aspirational one
sure.
before he even was sworn into office, which is
come on.
just nuts.
Inspiration, too.
Yeah, and, we were talking about this off air. The Italian defense minister, now it's in Italian, so I won't play the clip, but he says, imagine 15 Italians, 15 French, and 15 Germans in Greenland. This seems like the beginning of a joke.
It is.
Yeah.
And then came 3 Dutchmen.
But they're very upset. So many folks are going to make a lot of noises about, how dare an ally threaten us with tariffs? How dare he weaponize tariffs? Well, he's been doing that.
That's what he does.
For a year now. What did he else say? He just now did that? He's been doing that with everything.
You make a point, though. You said something, and I think this is important for perspective, from an American perspective. Mm-hmm. The amount of money spent in NATO and the preponderance of it bought by American taxpayers, and the trade policies that have occurred and we've allowed to occur because there was this idea that it's noble for us to allow other countries to catch up to where we're at or what we're doing, and don't penalize it. So, Joey, there is a real valid call for this.
Well, and also, what's the old line about NATO? The role, the purpose of NATO, especially from the United States point of view, why we subsidize so much. I think it's like 13x what other nations in NATO put in. The reason why is to keep Russia out, the United States in, and Germany down. Yes, because Germany is the natural powerhouse. And again, great geopolitical games afoot. The head of AfD, if they win the election, they say they're going to have a referendum on leaving the European Union, which would be the death of the EU.
Sure it would be.
Because the Germans, just from a geopolitical standpoint, and also, I would say, cultural in terms of their economy and so many things.
It's been down, though.
They are the powerhouse in Europe.
They are.
The French pretend like they're the powerhouse.
Poland's the wild card. Poland's the wild card.
Well, I don't worry about Poland. I think Poland's going to be all right.
Did you see Poland's prime minister? He goes, "Hey, wait a minute." He goes, "These tariffs, we got a common economy here. That's going to affect us." He was like, "Give him Greenland. Give him Greenland." Damn it.
And then Trump also on the geopolitical front, because where the president and his team, including Scott Besson, who I'll play a clip of talking about Greenland on the Sunday shows in a second, they're going to Davos for the World Economic Forum, and Trump wants a signing ceremony for his Board of Peace.
Board of Peace.
In Davos on Thursday. This is from, I believe, Bloomberg. It is unclear which countries will sign. Many invitees want the U.S. to rewrite the terms. The Board of Peace has had a rough landing. It's been criticized by Israel, questioned by Europe, and has Russia's friends celebrating. World leaders are blindsided and bewildered by Trump's demand. They pay $1 billion for permanent membership. European allies are working to modify the terms and coordinate a response, sources say. They're trying to persuade Arab leaders to help lobby Trump for changes. Privately, senior European officials say the Peace Board is a clear attempt by Trump to set up a rival to the UN. They say it's about far more than Gaza, and that he sees it as a vehicle to resolve other conflicts and control international events. Wow. Much of the concern is over the wording of the charter, which appears to place its ultimate decision-making power primarily with Trump. That raises many questions, not least over where the requested payment for long-term membership would go. the people say. Tony Blair is playing a key role behind the scenes, along with Trump's envoy Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner. There is potential for the terms of the charter to be adapted following feedback on the initial draft. The timing of this is particularly difficult. The timing is very difficult in light of Trump's threats to Greenland and the status of negotiations over Ukraine. The European approach mirrors much of its strategy for dealing with Trump. Play for time, be seen to engage, try to talk him down. Trump has invited Putin, Orban, and Lukashenko of Belarus to join the board.
Wow.
A European official called that farcical and said they had no doubt they'd be delighted to accept. They warned it confirmed the dilemma for the continent. Go along with what Trump wants or risk further splitting apart the transatlantic alliance.
Wow.
And again, great geopolitical game, but we haven't even mentioned China.
I know.
We haven't even mentioned China.
Yeah. There seems to be some fractures with China. Here's what I'm hearing, though, from some reliable people that I consider to be international relations experts that I'm connected with. China's up to something when it comes to Russia. I'm just saying, I don't know what the details are other than geopolitically, they're looking at acquiring some of the stuff maybe they lost at some point over in Kamchatka in that area. So that's what I've heard. I heard that there's.
I will always go. It was either Australia or that on
when
playing
on risk. You always got to have Kamchatka.
Yeah, it's a great little buffer to if you got North America.
See,
and then you can pile up and then just sweep through Asia that way, or you can pile up in Australia.
You can do Australia too.
Sweep through Indonesia up into Asia that way.
Anyways.
272-9228 if you want to get in on the conversation. This part of the program brought to you by Alabama Home Mortgage.
Yes.
In fact, the entire hour brought to you by Alabama Home Mortgage. And there they can help you out with buying a new home here in the new year or refinancing that home. And with interest rates, the trend is they're going down. Now's the time to at least start the conversation so you are early to the game. Get a great refinance deal or get that brand new dream home you've always wanted. Or it could be your downsizing. It could be the family's growing, or it's like, you know what, we're just empty nesters. Why are we living in a 4-bedroom or 5-bedroom spot with a big old backyard we never even go into? Like, let's downsize here a little bit and use a bunch of that money we built up and do nice things for ourselves.
Maybe they're veterans.
Right. Oh, and they specialize there at Alabama Home Mortgage in helping veterans. They help some of your family,
my son and daughter-in-law, they got their first home loan through them, and they did it right, and they took really good care of them. And it was 3.5 weeks.
And there are a lot of veterans walking around thinking, I don't qualify for some of these special loans, or I use the benefits already. No, you're wrong.
Give them a call. Yeah.
That's Alabama Home Mortgage, 567-4223. That's 567-4223. Or you can always apply online at myalabamahomemortgage.com. There is a difference in mortgage companies like Kim and Madeline. Prove that to you today. NMLS number 1586368 and Equal Housing Lender.
Want to carry News Talk in your pocket? Download the News Talk 93.1 app from the App Store. Available on iPhone and Android. Never miss a moment. Download now.
Want that ride that is fun, affordable, and street legal? Check out ETG Outdoors in Montgomery. They have huge discounts on electric golf carts with many brand new units under $10,000. New and used inventory, financing available, and they service what they sell. ETG Outdoors even provides lithium battery conversions and free delivery with purchase. Whether it's for the neighborhood, the farm, or just fun. ETG Outdoors, 7006 Vaughn Road, or online at etgoutdoors.com. Cruise smarter, drive electric. ETG Outdoors. Your ride to freedom starts here.
Not all meat and 3 plates are created equal. At Epicure and Jack's Tavern, every meat and 3 is scratch made to order. No shortcuts, no freezer tricks. Just honest cooking with real ingredients. Once you taste the difference, you'll understand why theirs stands above the rest. Epicure and Jack's Tavern. Scratch made isn't a slogan, it's how they cook. Located at 2060 Downing Street in Millbrook.
Are you tired of the mainstream media's biased reporting? Do you want to stay informed on the news that really matters to you? Look no further than 1819 News. At 1819 News, we bring you the latest in Alabama news, politics, sports, culture, and more. We've assembled a team of journalists with Alabama values dedicated to the truth and the truth alone. Visit us at 1819news.com today. That's 1819news.com. Subscribe to our newsletter. Honest News, Alabama Values. This hour of news and views is brought to you by our good friends at Alabama Home Mortgage. Alabama Home Mortgage, 567-4223. Visit them on the web at myalabamahomemortgage.com. NMLS number 1586368. An equal housing lender.
Hi, this is Bo Goodson from the Goodson Group with your Real Estate Minute. Are you getting ready to put your home up for sale? Remember the 6 P's. Prepare your home by deep cleaning, painting where needed, yard work, decluttering the inside. Present your home to the market through the experienced realtor who knows how to market the home and get it sold. Price the home at fair market value of what the home should bring in today's market. Your realtor can guide you in pricing the home to sell, not sit. Pay for part of the closing cost and provide a 1-year warranty. Buyers today don't have the down payment and all the cost of buying a home without some help. Prepare to look at offers from the marketplace and accept the best offer for your needs. And 6, place your trust in experienced professionals, including your realtor, closing attorney, and mortgage company. For all the details, call Bo Goodson at the Goodson Group, 221-2883. And remember, we are now hiring agents, both new and experienced. Call me today for an interview. Bo Goodson, 221-2883.
This is your roving reporter. Today I'm talking with a prospector. That's right, man. I'm prospecting for gold. You dig? No, but it looks like you do. And you know the first thing I'm going to do when I strike it rich? What's that? I'm going to hire David Ernest to be my money man. You mean everyone's favorite asset preservationist? That is correct, man. I'm going to call him up at 833-596-7233. 833-596-SAFE. You know, I've heard a lot of the good things about David Ernest. You know, he's the best money man around with over 40 years of experience. Experience is necessary, especially when you're digging for gold. That's right, man. And I can see that you don't have very much experience. What do you mean, man? Well, you have the little plastic bucket and shovel like a kid would take to the beach. Yeah, man, well, I want to start out small and then kind of pace myself up until I strike it rich. Well, maybe you should call David Ernest first. You think he's got a shovel? Never know till you ask. I dig, man.
The Rich Thomas Weather Network, brought to you by Montgomery Paint and Body. From little fender benders to total body repair, MPB will fix it good as new, maybe better. For 4 decades, the Turner family has been getting you back on the road. Call 279-7325.
Rich Thomas Weather.
Well, hi, everybody. This holiday forecast is a very chilly one with plenty of sunshine and a high temperature barely up to about 50 today. Mostly clear, very cold tonight. Overnight low temperature will end up in the low 20s. Tuesday's high temperature may not make it out of the 40s. I've got us around, let's say, 48 for a high, back to the mid-20s on Tuesday night, and a little bit better on Wednesday with a high temperature in the middle 50s. The next risk of showers holding off till Wednesday night. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
On FM, on your smartphone, and online, the River Region's most trusted voice. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back. 272-9228 if you want to get in on the conversation. It's 334-272-9228.
What's the name of this track?
Just Project 9.
Project number 9.
Yeah. I don't give these things names.
I don't. I just like hearing what they're called.
Made a few of them this past weekend.
Yeah, sounds good. I like that.
Yeah, I'm more in like a funky mood these days.
I
Like,
know
you know, this one earlier.
Yeah. Sounds like a beginning of a maybe Seinfeld outtake or something. I like it.
Or there's this one, like here.
Oh, yeah. Shaft, baby. I see it now.
Anyway, that's lose about 3 hours and on Saturday and be like, oh crap, it's 5 o'clock already. I should go check on Gramps.
Yep, you should.
So here is Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent.
Yes, I saw this.
And he's being pressed on Meet the Press by Kristen Welker about why the Greenland thing? Why the Greenland thing?
Okay, let me press you on what you have said are national security concerns, particularly as it relates to Russia and China. Senior Democrats say there are no pressing threats on Greenland's security from Russia or China. The Danish foreign minister says there hasn't been a Chinese warship in Greenland for a decade. What evidence do you have that this is a pressing threat?
Well, first of all, Kristen, we have asymmetric information. And again, President Trump is being strategic here. What evidence was there that the Russians were going into Crimea? What evidence was it? Well, actually, there was a lot of evidence that the Russians were going to go into Ukraine, and Joe Biden said, well, just take a little bit of it. But what we know is that the U.S., that Greenland can only be defended if it is part of the U.S., and it will not need to be defended if it is part of the U.S. The president is trying to avoid a conflict.
You bring up Crimea. The president, as far as I have heard, has not taken military force off the table. If the United States were to take Greenland by force, how would that be different than Russia's annexation of Crimea?
Look, I believe that the Europeans will understand that this is best for Greenland, best for Europe, and best for the United States.
So, but military action is still on the table?
I haven't spoken with the president on that. And again, I believe that the Europeans will understand that the best outcome is for the U.S. to maintain or receive control of Greenland.
Amen.
There you go.
Also, just listening to that after she asked that question, the Europeans say there hasn't been a Chinese warship near Greenland in a decade. I have a sense when he said we have asymmetric information that what they're worried about in particular is not just the Europeans, but also Canada being way too in bed with the Chinese.
Absolutely.
That's exactly how it would happen.
Look at what the Canadian Prime Minister just did.
Right. Oh, yeah.
He doubled down.
Yeah. Now, I'm not as worried about Canada, but I could very much see Europe continuing, and maybe that's what the Europeans do. They run to, financiers in the Middle East and the Near East. They run over to China and they separate themselves more and more from the U.S. And it's like, okay, good luck, guys.
We have forced we've forced them to divest from Russia, so now it's going to be replaced by a vacuum, which is probably China.
And also the frame of so many of these questions. It's like, and I remember having this conversation with folks I respect, but it's like, does Russia have a right to take Crimea and parts of Ukraine? I'm like, not in the sense of
not
like
in the moral sense.
No, but like they have in the classic sense of right. Of like, and also I'll put it this way: are you truly sovereign if you don't have any might?
You cannot be sovereign without might. It's sort of like the First Amendment and the Second Amendment.
Now, your mightiness does not make you righteous necessarily.
Well,
there are awful ways to use your mightiness.
So remember when Arthurian legend came out? One of the big premises was, does might make right, or does right make, is it right for might, right? And right with might. And the thing is, Joey, I think we just said it earlier. When that listener or that caller, reader of one of my Real Politics says, you're taking morality out of the equation. I can't stress it enough, Joey. That really doesn't matter in the great game. It does if you want to feel good about yourself.
Well, I'll put it this way. It does matter in the sense of when the United States wins World War II, the bombs didn't continue to drop. The bomb didn't continue to drop on Russia.
That's right. But Patton wanted to.
Yes, and I think MacArthur would have been down. And
a few, with it. Yeah.
But the United States did not. In fact, the United States rebuilt Japan.
Yes.
Rebuilt Germany.
Yes.
Other nations wouldn't have done that.
No.
So there is a righteous way of wielding one's might, and you can question certain cases. Did we go too far?
Sure.
Or did we let people off the leash too much? And all these other things. But yes, you're right. If you read, you don't even have to go to Machiavelli. Just read Clausewitz.
Karl von, come on. Listen, he talks about, what is war, Joey?
Right.
What is it? It's politics continued at a higher level of urgency, right?
Right. And so, it's just the hubris of these folks who thought, we fought this bloody war that's awful, and I see why they tried to do it. And in fact, because they were the mighty ones who built the international order, so-called, it did last for a while. But how orderly really was the Cold War? Come on. It wasn't exactly perfect, though. I'd say containment worked, and Kennan
it was safe. We didn't have any incidents,
But it's absurd to think that because of
our moral sense and the words we put on the page and a bunch of treaties that all of a sudden you have now taken might out of the equation. Now, what you want is to be both. You want to be righteous and to have might.
If you cannot have, if you cannot have love, if you can't be loved by your enemies, but you do have fear, then count yourself blessed that you got the fear. And the thing is, Joey, there's no more, in my mind, in this world order, we don't need to when I talk to people, we don't need to parse out what was wrong. Because I will say this, America's conscience has been part of its problem. Churchill once opined, America wants to play empire, but it lacks the testicular fortitude and the moral turpitude and the intestinal fortitude to do so.
Yeah.
And you want to play the grand game, you got to be ugly. What did the Romans do? The Romans brought you civilization. They brought you courts. They brought you medicine. They brought
iron.
They brought a lot of things with them. Roads, right?
Iron,
But what did they ask? One thing and one thing only: to render unto Caesar what's due him and join allegiance if needed. Right. If not, what did they do? They poisoned your fields. They salted your wells. They destroyed everything. They killed the man and the seed and enslaved the women.
And
so simple.
To how I started this hour. It's not a shock that Alexander the Great fell because of the speed in which he expanded and just had no clear air and all these other things. But it is remarkable that Rome did fall.
Yes, it
like,
is.
Given everything you just laid out that they provide. In fact, I believe there's stuff they, like, especially like concrete technology, there's stuff they did that we still don't understand.
Listen, could we have built a road or aqueduct with that kind of declination over 2 miles without laser siders and all that? No.
But then again, what is remarkable is even after Rome falls, and it falls to, the Visigoths and the
the Untermenschen.
Like, what is amazing is that the kingdom of God continues to expand despite the rise and fall of all these political orders and kings.
This is true.
And do people adopt Christianity, especially at the ruler level, for convenience? Oh, of course.
Of course they do.
But also, you have to say there are definitely some of these folks who are the so-called barbarians who were actually converted.
Come on, man. Where do you think Charlemagne came from? That's his lineage, right?
Right. And you see great church fathers from all over the old empire. And so, the more you just think of Rome, the more you think of Scripture, the more you think of just even modern history. You don't have to go that far back. How naive were we? This idea of the end of history as the Cold War came to a close. It's absurd. Now, should millions and hundreds of thousands of men be crossing borders and lining up and going to a meat grinder? No, it's insanity. And in fact, I think folks are too clever to even ever fight that way. But good luck getting morale going.
I would say,
But there are realities to this world that are beyond just your moral sense. And I think that often happens to societies. You can sit there and go, we're right, we're right, we're right. And okay, if you truly want to be in the spirit of Christ, that I will never pick up the sword, then like Christ, you will suffer. And that is to your glory and honor, I believe, if you really believe that. But there's a justice, there's a righteousness to defending people, to punishing the wicked.
Yeah, absolutely.
And again, I just find it silly that a lot of these folks think their bread would always be buttered the same way. And it never works that way. I think the United States itself, I'm picking on the Europeans and international law and the UN and all this other stuff as some great image in gold and silver and bronze. And isn't it fascinating, by the way, all these ancient metals is like gold's at an all-time high, silver's at an all-time high, copper's through the frickin' roof.
Platinum.
Yeah, and then mention stuff that nobody even knew about. Like these rare earths are, fascinating.
Beryllium.
So, it's just, what a time. A lot of the same things that have been bedeviling the human race have not gone away just because you thought history came to an end and democracy would sweep over the earth.
What does Solomon tell us? Nothing new under the sun.
No.
Everything old is new again.
No, but so even though I'm picking on international law and the UN, I think the United States itself needs to get its house in order in a lot of practical ways. I think Trump and team have kicked the can down the road on the debt issue. They continue to do that in many ways. They're also getting some things right, but as much as everybody should humble themselves, I would say my own nation needs to humble itself, or we will be humbled. And I don't say that with glee or anything. It's just
Like Daniel. You're not saying it like Daniel.
No, I'm not claiming.
You'll be eating grass.
No, if you throw me into a fiery furnace,
You
I'll
might-
probably
you might
burn
do it.
up
You
to a
might-
crisp.
yeah, I would too.
But yes, anyway, 272-9228 if you want to get in on the conversation. Let's go to line 1. You're on there. Who's this?
Hey, this is Crawdad.
Hey, Crawdad.
Hey, Crawdad.
I love it when you guys can tie in history and things, because what you just said, I think, had you mentioned Rome, but before Rome, what fell apart with the trade routes all over the place, providing two primary things to make bronze: tin, copper. That fell apart. Something happened where the bringing the two things to make the bronze all over the place, they didn't have it anymore. So the Bronze Age is when, I think that's when it changed. Was then somebody figured out, well, how do we smelt iron? And you have Damascus steel was one example way later down. That was strong stuff, but the Bronze Age failed, in my opinion, because of the trade commodity that became very short in supply. And now we're talking about those minerals again, metals that we are very important to everybody to trade and deal war with each other. So I just had to say that.
Well, and it's an argument Troy and I have had. I think the pen is mightier than the sword. I would say the word is mightier than the sword in the long run. Think of all the texts that were once in Hebrew and Greek and all those things that still shape culture today, and all the warnings and just so even though, say, empires fall, nations fall, and the politics changes over time, the longest lasting legacies and impact have to do with the folks that often seem to be the ones marginalized and the losers, but they were punching a higher floor, so to speak.
Higher force, you say. We're talking going way back to books of Enoch and so on and so on.
Well, I was more referencing Prince's Let's Go Crazy. Don't let the elevator bring us down.
I'm with you, Crawdad. I like the apocryphal text. There's so much in there that I think that the church has missed. I know the Orthodox Church uses it. But
Enoch in particular. Yeah. It's cited in, the letter
Books of Jubilee, Books of Solomon, they're good.
It's cited all over the place, and they're,
Yes, it is. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Crawdad.
Appreciate you. And it's in Genesis. Enoch
It
was
is.
taken.
No, it is. It is. Hey, can I do a quick devotion with you that a friend sent me? It's very short. Yeah. It's a couple paragraphs. In the cold winter of 320 A.D., the Emperor Lucius ordered all Roman soldiers to renounce Christianity. To offer a sacrifice to the Roman gods was also required. The edict reached the Thundering Legion at Sebast, and the order was passed down to each legionnaire. 40 Christians in the legion refused and withstood the beatings and the torture for days. They refused to obey the edict, but chose instead to honor and obey their true king. In retaliation, the legion was marched into a frozen lake where they were ordered to remove their armor and clothing and stand naked on a frozen lake. The legion lit a large fire on the shore with warm baths and wine and food to tempt the Christians to make the pagan sacrifice and renounce their Christian faith. The men instead began to pray and sing hymns. One left, leaving only 39. A centurion named Aglasius, witnessing their faith, confessed faith in Christ. He saw it, and he removed his armor and joined them, rebringing the number to 40. And the next morning, the 40 martyrs of Sebast were found dead on the ice, forever recorded in their faithful resistance in the annals of history. I think about that, Joey. That's a powerful motivation. And it causes us to say, would we be willing to do that? And I don't know. I think.
I guess you may suffer the first death, but not the second death.
That's right. That's right.
And the blood of the martyrs will be avenged eventually. Anyway, got to hit a quick break here. We'll be right back.
He may not know whether he's coming or going, but whether you're going to work or coming home, Greg Budell is there. Mornings, 6 till 9, and afternoons, 3 till 6. Only on News Talk 93.1 FM, WACV.
When winter settles in, homes should feel warm, safe, and comfortable. The Luke Wire team has taken care of River Region families since 1983 with their trusted technicians and 24/7 emergency services. From furnace repairs to heat pump issues, they're there when your family needs them most. This winter, choose a company you can trust for the comfort your family deserves. Whatever you require, call Luke Wire. AL license number 22154.
You officially survived the holidays, but the same can't really be said for your carpet. Instead of playing What's That Mystery Stain, why not ring in the new year while you bring in new flooring from Prattville Carpet? Get unbeatable prices during their New Year's sale, and when you purchase Mohawk Smart Strand Carpet, ask about the free upgrade to a free pet pad.
Hi, I'm Ray Bowles from Prattville Carpet. If you're looking for carpet, hardwood, laminate, vinyl plank, or ceramic tile, call us today for your free measurement.
Step into the new year with new floors. Shop PrattvilleCarpet.com.
This hour of news and views is brought to you by our good friends at Alabama Home Mortgage. Alabama Home Mortgage, 567-4223. Visit them on the web at myalabamahomemortgage.com. NMLS number 1586368, an equal housing lender.
When news happens, you'll hear about it first. The River Region's most trusted voice. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back. You know, we can be jacks of all trades. We're just watching a recap of some soap opera, and Anita smacked the crap out of Lisa, or excuse me, Leslie, or somebody.
Okay.
Anyway, it's a whole review, and it's
Wow.
You know, like
how did we get to this?
it's CBS 8, and we just didn't change over to Fox.
see the
yet.
remote.
Let's go to Michael Cohen with Cohen's Electronics and
Mike, we
Appliances.
can't find the
Michael?
remote, Mike.
How y'all doing?
I'm doing all right.
I bet Joey watches a little Teen Mom too.
Teen Mom? Nah, man.
Well, did you notice he knew the names of the ladies?
Because I read the closed caption.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, look, he can read too.
He can read too.
And her dress should not be that low hanging. That's just obscene. Oh man. I mean, I kind of like it, but that's why it shouldn't be. Anyway, hey, Michael, what's the score there today at Cohen's?
Oh, it's like 21-0.
All right.
Good.
We've had Michael Jackson's been out there taking care of a lot of people. Got a full day tomorrow. Going to be working downtown with some apartments and doing a lot of installations down there. So anyway, he's been hustling today to make sure that he can spend the whole day downtown tomorrow. Of course, everybody else is getting ready for this big game that's going to be tonight with Indiana and Florida. So, of course, I'm hoping that Indiana takes care of business.
Likewise.
Yeah.
I'm kind of rooting for them, too. Though I think it's going to be a close game. Miami's been playing their tails
They've been
off.
playing really good lately.
And great momentum as a team. But
I think it's going to be less than a score difference.
Yeah,
I think it's going to be like 27-24. So I don't think it's going to be a big win, but.
Well, and I will also encourage folks, given how great 2 NFL playoff games were this weekend, and you got the championship games coming up before the Super Bowl, in fact, folks, get by Cohen's, get you a big old TV if you've been thinking about it, to enjoy these great sporting events. And then, a lot of movies will be coming out this year. Get by Cohen's Electronics and Appliances. You can always shop online at thinkcohens.com, but stop by the Boulevard at 2515 Eastern Boulevard here in Montgomery. Open 9 to 6 Monday through Friday, 9 to 4 on Saturdays. And find Michael and be sure to tell him you heard him on the air with that Joey guy and that Troy guy.
Without Darth Vader.
Yes.
Darth Vader, that's right.
Yeah, he had to go do Landman stuff today. He said.
Man.
He wishes he was Billy Bob.
Landman.
Yeah, I was about to say. He wishes.
That's funny.
Yeah, we all want Billy Bob's ex-wife.
Oh,
yes, sir.
That'll cure you of wanting to get married.
Yeah, I don't know if she'd break you of it or or just make you go willingly.
You know what's funny, Mike, you mentioned that. I told my wife, I go, can you imagine? Billy Bob's kind of an eccentric person as it is. If he thinks you're weird, you need to get away from him, okay?
No, and whoever writes that in Yellowstone,
Yeah,
like, they write some Spitfires, a little harder than a $2 pistol, that one. And I'm not even talking about her looks.
Well, and then the daughter, you know, anyway.
Well.
The daughter's on a whole different level.
Yeah.
You know, when she starts talking about stuff, and when she was in there with the college lady explaining what she thought life was about, and anyway, she was way off base.
Yeah, didn't understand the whole ferret thing.
But you got to appreciate her innocence.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
God bless her little heart.
Well, I appreciate it as always, Michael. We'll talk again soon.
All right.
Man.
Take care.
See you, Mike.
Well, and before I hit this top of the hour break, this clip.
What is it?
It's an old clip, and it's been making the rounds though again for whatever reason.
Okay.
And this is like an old documentary. It came out 15 years ago, if not more. But let's listen in. It is penguins. For folks just listening, what we're seeing is like two penguins, and one is about to break off from the rest. And the narrator, I think Werner Herzog, he lays it out beautifully.
But one of them caught our eye, the one in the center. He would neither go towards the feeding grounds at the edge of the ice, nor return to the colony. Shortly afterwards, we saw him heading straight towards the mountains, some 70 kilometers away. Dr. Ainley explained that even if he caught him and brought him back to the colony, he would immediately head right back for the mountains. But why?
This is great. It's great.
For some reason, that's been making the rounds again, and it's
everything
epic.
old is new again, right?
It's epic. Well, got to hit the stop hour break. Be right back.
Broadcasting from the Riverside Chevrolet Master Control Center, this is WACV Cusada, News Talk 93.1 FM. When it's Chevy, it's Riverside.
With SRN News, I'm Bob Agnew in Washington. President Trump has linked his aggressive stance on Greenland to last year's decision not to award him the Nobel Peace Prize, telling Norway's prime minister that he no longer feels, quote, an obligation to think purely of peace. That's according to two European officials who were not authorized to comment publicly but did speak on condition of anonymity. The president's message to Jonas Gahr Store appears to ratchet up a standoff between Washington, D.C. and its closest allies over the president's threats to take over Greenland. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer sought to de-escalate the tensions today. Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey says sending active duty soldiers to Minnesota for an immigration crackdown is ridiculous and unconstitutional. He is urging protesters to remain peaceful, even though that has not been happening. They've been violently confronting ICE agents. This is SRN News.
Everybody loves the season of giving, but now the season of paying for it is upon us. That not-so-wonderful time of the year when millions of Americans open their credit card statements, stare in horror at the balance, and resolve then and there to find new ways to save money. If you're among those Americans, why not start by cutting your wireless bill in half right now with Pure Talk's Saver Plan? It's easy. You'll get unlimited talk, text, and 3 gigs of high-speed data on a super-fast, nationwide 5G network for just $20 a month. Just dial pound 250, say Mike Rowe, and you'll save an additional 50% off your first month. Ho, ho, ho. And if you're active or former military or a first responder, you'll save an additional 20% every single month. That's pound 250. Say Mike Rowe for the gift that keeps on saving from America's wireless company.
Rich Thomas Weather is brought to you by McPhillips Schimbaum.
My name is Aaron Luck, a partner with the law firm of McPhillips Schimbaum. If you or someone in your family has been seriously injured by the negligence of someone else, call me directly.
262-1911. Rich Thomas Weather.
Well,
hi, everybody. This holiday forecast is a very chilly one with plenty of sunshine and a high temperature barely up to about 50 today. Mostly clear, very cold tonight. Overnight low temperature will end up in the low 20s. Tuesday's high temperature may not make it out of the 40s. I've got us around, let's say, 48 for a high, back to the mid-20s on Tuesday night, and a little bit better on Wednesday with a high temperature in the middle 50s. The next risk of showers holding off till Wednesday night. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
The holidays may be over, but the bills don't have to weigh you down. Let ASE Credit Union help lighten your financial load with our special post-holiday loan options. Visit us online at yourasecu.com or stop by one of our branches to learn more. Terms and conditions apply. Federally insured by NCUA.
1819 News.
A state lawmaker wants to introduce legislation this year that reevaluates how universities or colleges here in Alabama are training their future teachers. State Representative Susan DuBose talked about it on Right Side Radio with Allison Sinclair and Amy Beth Shaver.
For example, in Auburn, are they teaching the science of reading, which is phonics-based reading? And we know that's what our teachers need to learn. Are they leaving out that 3Qing technique, which is a technique that does not even work? Have they eliminated all that crazy, woke, DEI, social justice curriculum? That's a waste of time. Our teachers need to know how to teach kids to read and how to do math and how to do the basics. We want them focused on what we know works. And I'm not sure that that's going on in all of our universities. And what are their pass rates?
I'll be back with more Alabama stories after this.
Did you know that 70% of people experience a potentially traumatic event in their lifetime, and that 6 out of every 100 adults face PTSD every day? Help us bring hope to these survivors by signing up for your Alabama Distinctive PTSD Awareness license plate today. The great thing is you can sign up no matter when your current plate renews, and the first year is complimentary. All you need is your VIN number on hand. Drive awareness, drive hope, and customize your plate today at atease.org.
The Alabama Law Enforcement Agency is actively investigating an officer-involved shooting that occurred in Marshall County. County deputies, along with Guntersville Police, responded to a domestic incident happening along Highway 79. An older white male then fired a gun at police from inside a camper, with authorities returning fire. That man was then found deceased inside the camper by a SWAT team. An injured woman found in Morgan County this past weekend has now died. Police believe that 38-year-old Ashley Critchley was hit by a car when she was found in a ditch near Union Hill. I'm Andrea Tice.
For more news affecting Alabamians, go to 1819news.com. And while you're there, subscribe to the daily newsletter.
This hour of News and Views is brought to you by our good friends at Cole Plumbing, 279-8919. Cole Plumbing is number 1 in the number 2 business. You don't have to dig a hole. They have proprietary pipelining technology. Ask them about their tankless water heaters. Remember, when you have trouble with your bowl, call on Cole.
We get this question all the time.
Do you handle that?
Buying or selling a home?
Yes.
Commercial?
Yes.
Land or investments?
Absolutely. Hannah and Eddie Realty Group. One team.
Every real estate move. 334-322-0662.
As a mom, comforting my family is what I do best. Vicks Vapor Stick provides soothing, non-medicated Vicks vapors in an easy-to-apply stick, and it dries fast, so there's no mess. I use it to comfort myself and my family.
Thanks, Mom.
Vicks Vapo Stick, soothing comfort for the whole family. And try Vicks Vapo Shower Max for steamy Vicks Vapors when you need more comfort for yourself. Use as directed.
The views and opinions of the following program are solely those of the host and other contributors. These do not necessarily represent those of Liberty Acquisitions 825, Blue Water Broadcasting, its management, staff, or any advertisers. It's time for Montgomery's conversational radio show. It's News and Views on News Talk 93.1 FM. To join the conversation, call 272-9228.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back. 272-9228 if you want to get in on the conversation. Mr. Carrico here has to leave soon, but I want to get into some Alabama stuff. So it's a top trending story at 1819 News.
Talk to me.
And it's actually something I think Ivy did that was reasonable. But
In its first Capitol Pulse newsletter of the 2026 session, the Alabama Education Association, the AEA, scoffed at Governor Kay Ivey's proposal for a 2% teacher pay raise, saying, well, appreciated and much needed, Governor Ivey's proposed 2% pay raise is not enough. We need a more substantial raise to allow educators to keep up with the rising cost of everyday items. What about the rest of us? Without one, we cannot maintain our current workforce, nor can we attract young people into our profession.
Yeah.
I don't think I've gotten a pay raise in a while.
How much do you think they pay a month for being a member of the AEA? And you better be a member of the AEA if you're a teacher.
Oh, yeah,
you better
right,
be.
right.
It's like Teamsters. They'll break your legs.
State Representative Susan DuBose spoke directly to the unintended consequences of the AEA's remarks and detailed other issues. I think one of the challenges is that we've been vilifying the teaching profession by saying they're overworked and underpaid. It's a profession that should be honored. It's a fabulous profession. Honestly, if you start looking at the pay and benefits that a teacher receives, it's really good. But teachers don't know that because the AEA has spent so much time telling them that they're underpaid. If you look at a college graduate and say you compare a teacher to a nurse or an accountant or a social worker or any of those other fields, they are right there in the middle, and they're only working 9 months out of the year. They get a defined benefit plan that they don't even have to pay taxes on, and they get insurance practically for free. And there's so many benefits. Now, when asked, and I guess this is Susan DuBose was on with Amy Beth and Allison. Amy Beth Shaver and Allison Sinclair. They're now doing Right Side Radio.
Right, I know, saw that. Yeah.
One of them asked, can you take AEA money and not do the bidding of the AEA? She says, you probably could. I never would. I have no desire to have a penny from the AEA. But let me tell you that Amy Marlowe, who is president of the AEA, this is Susan DuBose talking, is the bane of my existence.
Wow.
She speaks out of both sides of her mouth.
Pray tell us more.
She's a hypocrite. She's called me out by name without even bothering to ever speak or introduce herself to me. I've never seen her in Montgomery. Dadgum. Susan, don't get on the wrong side of Representative DuBose. She went on to expose and dismantle the AEA's lies about school choice, specifically the Choose Act. So Amy Marlowe, I cannot wait to respond to your op-ed where you called me out in February 2025 because February 2026, we're going to see the real results of our school choice numbers. Got a fight going.
Foreshadowing.
Right. Anyway, I think it's unfortunate that for so long the name of the game in the state, the autopilot idea is that the teachers association runs things.
You know what's crazy too, Joey? When you talk about the benefits package and all that, do you realize that if you go to school and you could, there's programs for a complete student loan repayment on all that stuff through the federal government if you're a teacher.
Wow.
If you go in and you apply and you have to serve 4 years in some capacity in public school, they will pay for they'll go back and pay all your student loans. So they got pretty good packages sometimes.
But in a second, I'm going to read, we're going to do it bi-weekly, Alan Mendenhall.
Yes, I like that.
He's got the top trending piece right now at 1819. Good. Alabama should rethink ABA accreditation for law schools, which is actually a fairly modest reform, allowing other accrediting agencies, not just giving the monopoly to ABA. And other states have done this. So, and next Monday, Alan Mendenhall should be back on the program here. And the story just released by 1819 News, written up by Austin Shipley, I believe that's State Senator Arthur Orr, files police pursuit policy bill, urges common sense measures without impeding law enforcement. So he's filed legislation requiring law enforcement agencies conducting vehicle pursuits to adopt or create a written pursuit policy, including for chases that cross over into other jurisdictions. Like that doesn't already exist?
I would think it would.
On Monday afternoon, Orr spoke to 1819 News about the bill, dubbed the Tristan Hollis Memorial Act. It's SB 120.
Okay.
We don't want to unnecessarily impede or cause restriction on law enforcement's ability to do the difficult job that they need to do, Orr said of the legislation. So we don't need the Monday morning quarterback. We don't. But we need our law enforcement officers using good judgment when they engage in one of these pursuits.
they need to be able to catch the bad guys and hold them accountable. But if we really don't know what the bad guy has done, in other words, we don't know that he's fleeing a murder, fleeing a bank robbery, those kind of felony type offenses, and they just ran a stop sign, and now we're going to engage in a high-speed pursuit chase because we saw somebody run a stop sign and they fled, we get into a risk-reward type situation, or said. Or reiterated his willingness to discuss the bill with law enforcement. So I'm serious about not wanting to impede law enforcement. There's some common sense measures that we can put in place at the local or state level that are going to provide a level of safety to the public at large. According to SB 120, a law enforcement agency that fails to adopt a policy in accordance with this section is subject to the withholding of any state funding or state-administered federal funding. Orr's legislation is a response to a fatal officer-involved crash in Hartselle that claimed the life of Tristan Hollis, a local teenager, and injured 6. Yeah. No, I think it's a common sense bill.
Sure. I don't have a problem with it.
And honestly, I don't expect a lot of big things like stuff like that.
Common sense
stuff.
It's going to be a quiet session. That's
No, around election time, politicians' tongues get courageous, but their actions get cowardly.
Sure do.
And, we're going to see the same thing here. There are going to be a lot of courageous things said, but in terms of passing actual big legislation, and maybe that's not a bad thing. I like a sleepy.
After last turbulence from the last one.
Oh, especially with Admiral Davis.
I mean, listen, bro, it's not done yet. There's a lot still coming.
Anyway, 272-9228. AG Commissioner Rick Pate has officially qualified for the lieutenant.
I saw that.
Governor's race. Again, Steve Marshall has said he's not going to bow out. He's going to stay in the U.S. Senate race despite Trump endorsing Barry Moore. And
did you know that Marshall? Sorry, did you know that Marshall was a delegate for Obama during?
Oh my!
Yeah, Jack, you were there with me. So he's not going to get that endorsement.
Yeah, no, I think though, despite Steve being a Democrat for a lot of his life, I think Steve Marshall's a pretty good conservative person.
I've met him. He's a good dude, and I'll say this. Wait a minute, that's what you're talking about. Almost all the rhinos that are down at the State House, they were Democrats.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Dixiecrats, as I call them.
So, this will continue here, but I know you got to get out of here, so I'm going to hit an early break.
Okay.
Yeah, it's 2:15.
Okay, is it? Oh, wow. See, time
flies by.
With you, Joey, it's always it's like a moment in time. It's so nice. So.
Well, I'm going to keep watching the Price is Right.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, we were down to a game show.
What is this? The Price?
This is
Let's Make a Deal.
This is Let's Make a Deal.
Let's Make a Deal. Wayne Brady does it. Let's Make a Deal.
Does it? Okay. Is that way? Yeah, it is one.
Yeah, good for Wayne Brady.
Look, they got that's their equivalent to the girls that turned the numbers on Bob Barker's show. Yeah. She looks a little different than they do.
Yeah, and Drew Carey's doing the Price is Right.
Oh man, do you know who the executive producer for that is? Adam Sandler.
Really?
Go watch the credits. Adam Sandler is the executive producer. That's why he's got.
Good for Sandman.
I love Sandler.
All right. Anyway, we'll be right back.
Want to carry News Talk in your pocket? Download the News Talk 93.1 app from the App Store. Available on iPhone and Android. Never miss a moment. Download now.
E-Bike Oasis, E-Bike Oasis, E-Bike Oasis, ride for free. E-Bike Oasis, E-Bike Oasis, E-Bike Oasis, ride for free.
At E-Bike Oasis, we're more than just Montgomery's best electric bicycle store. E-Bike Oasis offers free 1-hour electrical bicycle rentals and a full-service electric bike repair shop. Stop by E-Bike Oasis in Montgomery today for free rentals, repairs, and electric bicycle brands in town.
What's your biggest investment? More than likely, it's your home. So treat it that way when you hire a painting contractor. With PBS Painting, there are no gimmicks, no $99 specials. Just quality painting and someone who treats your home with the same respect that you do. At PBS Painting, we have been painting for years and look forward to many more years to come. With PBS Painting, the job gets prepped properly, whether it's cleaning, scraping, or priming. We always use quality products, which is a must for a quality paint job. So if you're looking for a painter that doesn't need upfront money and is on the job at all times, then please give me a call. Scott Bowers and PBS Painting, 294-5122. That's PBS Painting, 294-5122. Look at some of our work on Facebook at PBS Painting Montgomery.
For too long, Alabama's statewide news companies have shamed us for our conservative Christian values. Alabama deserves a news company that cherishes our culture, a company that isn't bought and paid for by the powers that be. 1819 News is that company. Run by Alabamians for Alabamians, 1819 News celebrates what is good and beautiful about our state, while exposing those who work against our values in secret. Just go to 1819news.com to learn more. Subscribe to our newsletter. That's 1819news.com. This hour of News and Views is brought to you by our good friends at Cole Plumbing, 279-8919. Cole Plumbing is number one in the number two business. You don't have to dig a hole. They have proprietary pipelining technology. Ask them about their tankless water heaters. Remember, when you have trouble with your bowl, call on Cole.
The premier place the River Region turns to for news, weather, traffic, and opinion. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back. Of course, tonight you have the college football national championship game. The Indiana on the cusp of capping off one of its most dramatic U-turns in program history, and Miami on the verge of completing a generational revival. The number 1 against the number 10 seed, and apparently I'm looking for the ticket prices here on some of these things. 50-yard line seats, I think, are going for $100,000 or so. Yeah. Wow. Why not just watch the game from home? $100,000? What people do with money, man. But I have to say, Miami's been playing their tail off. Indiana still looks like a juggernaut. It should be a knockout dragout, and I'm predicting it'll be like a 3-point, 7-point game, something to that effect, somewhere within that area. And especially coming off what seemed like classic great NFL football, though some Bills fans might say it's rigged after that one call at the end of the game. But, good football. I like it when the playoffs or championship games are actually competitive and great to watch. Nothing beats the drama of a great game. Nothing beats sports when sports are great. It's why it's still the only thing keeping a lot of these legacy networks afloat. And as much as my attention, I was really into football when I was a teenager, when I was still playing in high school, and further I get away from actually playing, it's not quite the thing I focus on, and I don't nerd out about trivia, stats, and rosters and all this other stuff. But I still love it when I can sit down and maybe even jump in the third quarter, and it's a tie game, and it goes down to the wire and goes into overtime. There's, again, nothing like the drama of sports. Let's go to line 1. You're on there. Who's this?
Hey, my man. I'm talking about Greenland.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about NATO. I don't see much downside either way. If NATO don't want America in NATO no more, that's fine. And it sounds like a money-saving proposition to me. And then Greenland, with civilians living there, it's fixing to become a part of the United States, one way or the other. And I hate to sound like to Denmark, they're a part of NATO, but the fact of the matter is, when Europe gets attacked by Russia, Denmark didn't stand up and defend anybody. No, I think the United States, though, sent, $200-300 billion to try to get to a stalemate, which seems to have at least had a stalemate to some extent. But the fact of the matter is, there's no downside for America if those European nations, other than Italy and Poland, I think their exports are going to do just fine because they're not on the line. But the rest of them, hey, if you don't want America and NATO, then hell, we'll pull all those troops out, let you have it.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of
like,
posturing right now, and I think a deal will be made. Trump is kind of the master at this thing. I appreciate the call, Robert. Appreciate it, man. 272-9228. Move over to tech competition. NVIDIA, of course, the big chip maker, GPU maker. NVIDIA announces plans to enter robo-taxis next year with its own fleet using proprietary chips and software. Waymo operates fully driverless vehicles across multiple cities and secured a Uber partnership. Uber positions as an asset-light aggregator that could consolidate multiple autonomous vehicle providers on its platform. But with the big robo-taxi boom underway, it's not hard to imagine that Tesla shareholders are more than willing to pay up a premium price tag to get into the driver's seat of a company that may very well become one of the leaders in the emerging lucrative market. Undoubtedly, there could be fierce competition in the field of autonomous vehicles, but the frontrunners for full self-driving may very well be able to build economic moats around their businesses if they're able to capture a lion's share of the market earlier on. Undoubtedly, the Tesla ride-hailing app may very well dethrone the ride-hailing leaders, ultimately disrupting their moats and causing a massive flow of users from the likes of Uber. But with Uber teaming up with a wide range of other autonomous vehicle firms with robo-taxi ambitions, it's going to be an interesting race as the market evolves and a new slate of leaders emerges. Now, moving away from NVIDIA saying they're getting into the robo-taxi game, well, Elon Musk announced he's going to get into the microchip fabrication game. He's just going to build his own chip factory. Why not? You know, given his suppliers are moving so slow, why not go build another thing? They just did the lithium refining thing and put it up in, under 3 years, which is incredible. But here's Elon recently talking about, well, we might just have to get into the chip fabrication game as well.
Even when we extrapolate the best case scenario for chip production from our suppliers, it's still not enough. So I think we may have to do a Tesla terafab. So it's like Giga, but way bigger. I can't see any other way to get to the volume of chips that we're looking for. So I think we're probably going to have to build a gigantic chip fab. Yeah.
And now, again, that's not just for autonomous vehicles, but also for the robots they plan to roll out here. But with NVIDIA recently announcing its intent to directly make a move into the robotaxi market, perhaps Tesla shareholders are a bit more anxious over how things are going to pan out. Perhaps having the technology in production isn't all it takes to dominate a new market. In any case, it feels like Uber is the other side of the trade when it comes to robotaxis. It's the asset-light ride-hailing app that's leveraging its data advantage and massive user base. If it turns out that customers don't really care which EV service they use, perhaps it's not too far-fetched to think that a consolidator like Uber might end up walking away as one of the bigger winners once it doesn't need to pay drivers for its services, acting more as a toll booth on robotaxis than anything else. With NVIDIA's entry into robotaxis with plans to break into the space next year, it's easy to think that Tesla has another serious rival on its hands. NVIDIA is all about cutting-edge AI platforms, and with the firm reportedly building a fleet of robotaxis with its own chips, software, and all sort, perhaps it's going to be harder to call a winner in the robotaxi race after all. Either way, NVIDIA is a fierce competitor that one shouldn't wouldn't want to bet against, especially given its recent track record of executing well ahead of schedule. So I think actually this sort of competition is a very, very good thing. And also in a similar space, apparently Elon Musk is seeking something like $130-something billion from OpenAI and Microsoft And I think he might have a point, given he founded OpenAI as a nonprofit. And who knows? This could just be a way to slow down a competitor in the AI space. But it also could be Elon continuing to build out his kingdom with also a lot of prospects and aspirations for the Neuralink project, where they're now seeing potential, because it's been so successful, the Neuralink implants and especially paraplegics being able to control things like computers and other devices essentially with their mind, that folks who are truly paralyzed could regain function of their limbs, walk again by these new technologies, could see again. People that are fully blind, you could actually give them sight again. And you wouldn't have to wear a stupid thing like Geordi had to wear on Geordi LaForge on Star Trek Next Generation. Sorry for nerding out for a second. So it's kind of remarkable as we see the great geopolitical game going on, the mayhem in the streets in Minnesota. The future continues to be built. Of course, the question is, will that be a good future or one that is more dystopian than the average person would like? Again, 272-9228 if you want to get in on the conversation. That's 334-272-9228. How about just a quick palate cleanser? This is a blast from the past. And it just shows that this guy has been at it for the longest time. But y'all remember before Trump decided to run for president as a Republican? Like, he had run, like, the Constitution Party, he'd done other things. But it's that time period, it's like after the Tea Party, so you're talking 2010s. And Trump started putting out these videos from his office in Trump Tower. And he's a much chubbier Trump back in the day. But, like, when he was first running in 2016, he's in his office, and he's like, I love Mexicans, happy Cinco de Mayo, here's my Mexican bowl I got from Trump Tower. But he was always putting out stuff against Obama. A lot of folks say Obama attacked him at that White House Correspondents' Dinner without cause. No. Trump had been beating the drum over and over again. Remember the whole birth certificate thing? And this was Trump doing it from, again, his office in Trump Tower. So serious things would come out, but also silly things. This is the mix, and I think the genius of Trump, of how he can press in a very serious way and put pressure on and create leverage in very serious ways. And yet he has this jovial, joking, humorous side. So before we hit this break, let's just listen to Donald John Trump, before he was president, talk about how much he loves waffles.
So many people are tweeting about, what do I have for breakfast? Now, sometimes I'll skip breakfast. I actually like skipping breakfast because, like everyone else, you always fight the weight. You fight and fight and fight. So sometimes I'll skip breakfast, but usually when I have breakfast, I may be on that all protein where you have bacon and eggs. I'm not sure that's a good diet, but for me it works a little bit. But I really love cereal. I would love to have cereal. The other thing I love just about more than anything are waffles when they're done properly with butter and syrup. There's nothing better than properly done waffles with butter and syrup all over them.
Yeah, amen. Now, and again, it was the old test of, would you want to drink a beer with the guy? But, of course, he doesn't drink. But would you want to go to Mickey D's with DJT? Would you want to go to Waffle House, show him a delicacy of the South? I think so. It'd be a hoot. You wouldn't even have to talk about all the controversial stuff, though. I certainly would enjoy that. And really it is, looking at somebody like Trump. I was telling my friends who are not fans of Trump, old high school buddies, right after the election in 2024. It was Christmas time in 2024. And I remember talking to him about how I think Trump has the potential. Obviously, it could all fall apart. And he could faceplant after taking just too much risk. But this guy, given the moment we are in, not just nationally, but in terms of the entire globe, Trump could easily be a world historic figure. Why? Well, it seems he's already, we'll see what the Supreme Court does with their tariff ruling, but he's already completely upended the old trade order of the world. completely reordered it and did it in a year when folks were crying doomsday and the market's crashing and yada, yada, yada. And yet has completely remade the order of how the world trades with one another and has done it largely so far. We'll see if the numbers keep coming in to the benefit of the United States. But what if Trump does acquire Greenland? We always remember what Sewell's folly in getting Alaska, and I think that same guy wanted Greenland. The United States has been trying to do this for 150 years. If Trump's the one to pull it off, history books. And he's already in the history books for the comeback, for the bullet that grazed his ear. Remember that moment? For the crazy campaign that was 2024, an amazing comeback story. So on the heels of that comeback story, if you have geopolitical breakthroughs, what if he does get more and more peace? What if this peace does last in the Middle East and reorders the geopolitical order in terms of Russia and China and the Europeans? On top of that, I think people keep underestimating this for either being bored with it, the Trump show, or just hating the guy. He's president here for the 250th anniversary. 250 years since the signing of the Declaration of Independence. And you better believe that's going to be celebrated in a big, beautiful way. I always hedge. You never know. You never know. But you also could be walking around lucky one day and not even know it. And fortune favors the bold. And if Donald Trump is anything, yes, can be an everyman with his love of Mickey D's and waffles. I love waffles with butter and syrup. Oh, so good. I agree, Mr. President. But he could also be one for the history books, world historic, a name that will be remembered for a long, long time. Of course, careful what you wish for. But this is the guy, his willingness to take risks, to do things outside the box, to flip the table over, to put pressure where it needs to be put, and to say outrageous things, whether to effect or because he really believes it. I can't remember any in recent American history that is quite like Donald John Trump. We shall see how the midterms play out. Of course, Trump and team are saying he is going to campaign like he's on the ticket. And that might be what it takes. Because for all the counter-signaling and the propaganda games that we are subject to every day if you pay attention to this stuff every day, but especially as we get closer and closer and closer to those general elections for the midterms, a lot of folks might wobble, might become panicans and all this other stuff. Yet, I've learned not to underestimate President Trump. Didn't vote for him in 2016. Did in 2020. Did in 2024. And for all my hemming and hawing over he killed Soleimani. Oh no, what is it? What you notice is this guy is playing a different game than everybody expects. And he keeps surprising not just his enemies, but his friends as well. We'll see. It's something that will be judged in the years to come. And all the stupid partisan stuff aside, of course he'll be world historic, or no, that fascist dictator, whatever, yada, yada, yada. We'll see in the next few decades how he's actually remembered and written about. But we get to be the ones that watch this. And for all the wailing and gnashing of teeth in the streets and all the hot opinions on geopolitics to enforcement of immigration laws to what's the economy going to do, yada, yada, yada. Not to mention wrestling with this new digital garden with AI and so many other technologies being built up before our eyes. When's the best time to be alive? Is it not now? Because as though there are many rhymes and parallels with echoes of history and basic realities of this world and our own nature that never go away, there's never been anything like this. And for better or worse, at least we have a front row seat to it. We're not even a month into this new year of 2026. And already it's felt a long time in a very good way. We'll see which shoe drops next. More after this.
He may not know whether he's coming or going, but whether you're going to work or coming home, Greg Budell is there. Mornings, 6 till 9, and afternoons, 3 till 6. Only on News Talk 93.1 FM, WACV.
The employees of Adams Drugs would like to thank you for trusting us with your health care in 2025. We look forward to serving you and your family in 2026. You will continue to enjoy the same services such as immunizations, compounding, medication therapy management, delivery service, and wellness clinics, to name a few. Looking for that perfect gift for a loved one? Visit our Emily B. gift shop and find everything from Tyler candles to scout bags. Gift wrapping is available. If you have not visited Adams Drugs and experienced the award-winning customer service, we ask you to consider us for your prescription care in 2026. We have 12 convenient locations to serve you in the River Region. 8 in Montgomery, 1 in Wetumpka, Prattville, Millbrook, and Pine Level, Marbury. Please find us at adamsdrugs.net for the location that is nearest to you. Adams Drugs is your local, independently owned Health Mart pharmacy. Health Mart, taking the time to listen and care.
Hello, I'm Johnny Sullivan from Sinclair's Restaurant. We're almost 27 years, and our business is as good as ever, and I give credit to Blue Water Broadcasting for keeping us on the air and letting people know what we do. Advertising with them has been a huge help to our business. I've seen a uptick from day one. If you need to grow your business, I highly recommend you give them a call.
Radio reaches over 90% of everyone in the River Region. Shouldn't your ads be out there where your customers are? Call us to find out more. Blue Water Broadcasting. Local folks helping local business.
This hour of News and Views is brought to you by our good friends at Cole Plumbing, 279-8919. Cole Plumbing is number 1 in the number 2 business. You don't have to dig a hole. They have proprietary pipelining technology. Ask them about their tankless water heaters. Remember, when you have trouble with your bowl, call on Cole.
The Rich Thomas Weather Network is brought to you by Ernest Financial.
If you're tired of losing your money in the stock market, call David Ernest, 334-279-7431. Ernest Financial, LLC.
Rich Thomas Weather.
Well, hi, everybody. We've got some very cold nights in our future. Tonight, mostly clear skies. Overnight temperature in the low 20s by dawn tomorrow morning. Tuesday's high may not make it out of the 40s. I got us around 48 for a high with plenty of sunshine Tuesday. Back to the mid-20s on Tuesday night. Wednesday, not quite as bad. High temperature up to about 55. And the next risk of showers holding off till Wednesday night. There's a risk of showers beginning Wednesday night into Thursday and Friday, but there's a growing concern of some possible winter weather here in Alabama sometime on Saturday. The question is, who would get what and how far south? Stay tuned. We're watching it from the Blue Water Weather Center. This is Rich Thomas.
Budget Floors and More has the best prices. Carpet as low as 69 cents per square foot. LVP starting at $1.29 a square foot. Sheet vinyl as low as 65 cents per square foot. And the lowest prices on flooring installation supplies. Budget Floors and More across from Delray Publix.
Trustworthy, accurate, immediate. Carrying your voice across the River Region. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back. Again, I'm your host, Joey Clark. And the Texas and Florida Supreme Courts have freed themselves from a curious dependency. That's the opening sentence of Alan Mendenhall's latest op-ed for 1819news.com. Top story there at the site right now, trending-wise. Alabama should rethink ABA accreditation for law schools. Alan Mendenhall writes, the Texas and Florida Supreme Courts have freed themselves from a curious dependency. No longer will these states genuflect. Brings me back to my Catholic schoolboy days. Genuflect before the American Bar Association's altar of accreditation, a shrine at which most states have worshipped for decades. Or decades, sorry. Sometimes Jack Kennedy gets me by the tongue. The Texas Supreme Court's January 6 order, finalizing preliminary approval from last September after a deliberative solicitation of public commentary, reclaims direct authority over law school approvals for bar eligibility, while the Florida Supreme Court's January 5th order amends its rules to end the ABA's role as the sole accrediting gatekeeper, effective October 1st, 2026, opening the door to other U.S. Department of Education recognized accreditors. Together, these represent not merely administrative housekeeping, but a principled reclamation of authority improperly delegated. The timing is auspicious. The Federal Trade Commission, an agency not typically aligned with conservative jurisprudence, weighed in during December, characterizing the ABA as a monopoly. When regulatory bodies and state judiciaries converge in recognizing institutional overreach, prudent observers take note. Why did states surrender this authority in the first place? Good question asked by Alan Mendenhall. The answer lies in that great centralizing impulse of the late 20th century America, when the legal profession, increasingly operating across state lines, sought uniformity through a national accrediting body. The ABA section of legal education and admissions to the bar became the de facto gatekeeper, and states, in a fit of administrative convenience masquerading as progressive sophistication, acquiesced to this arrangement. This might have proven tolerable had the ABA maintained the study neutrality befitting a professional organization of consequence. Regrettably, it has not. Let me pause there. Wait, you give one group a bunch of power and authority, and like you're the only gatekeepers of accrediting lawyers across the nation? You might use that power in a way that tips the scales? Get out of town. But the association has transformed itself, writes Alan Mendenhall, from a credentialing body focused on professional competence into an ideological vanguard pursuing progressive shibboleths with unseemly enthusiasm. Consider the ABA's Standing Committee on the Federal Judiciary, which has long been entrusted with evaluating judicial nominees. Conservatives have documented what appears to be a systematic pattern. Nominees who embrace originalist jurisprudence or adhere to textualist interpretation face heightened scrutiny, while those committed to living constitutionalism receive gentler treatment. The ABA's public pronouncements compound the offense on abortion access, LGBTQ plus initiatives, and the fashionable catechism of diversity, equity, and inclusion. The ABA speaks not as a dispassionate arbiter of professional standards, but as a partisan in our culture wars. When the ABA defends judges who frustrate conservative policy objectives, not on grounds of judicial independence, which would be defensible, but through political commentary, it forfeits any claim to institutional objectivity. Attorney General Pam Bondi's recent decision to terminate the ABA's access to non-public information regarding judicial nominees represents an overdue correction. For decades, this privileged access conferred disproportionate influence over lifetime appointments to the federal bench. That such power was vested in an organization increasingly indistinguishable from left-wing advocacy groups represents a category error of the first magnitude. The accreditation monopoly itself merits examination. The ABA's standards increasingly embed ideological criteria orthogonal to legal competence. Model Rule of Professional Conduct 8.4, which addresses discrimination and harassment, has become a vehicle for imposing orthodoxy on matters that should remain subjects of good faith disagreement in a pluralistic society. When professional standards have become instruments of ideological enforcement, the profession itself suffers corruption. The ABA's accrediting arm is formally the council of its section of legal education and admissions to the bar, a mere structural appendage of the association, not some freestanding corporation. Yet in the solemn business of accrediting law schools for bar admission, this council operates with studied independence from the parent body, the so-called Big ABA, a separation mandated by the U.S. Department of Education to shield its judgments from the association's enthusiasm for advocacy or partisan posturing. Thus does bureaucracy achieve a simulacrum of impartiality, the mere appearance of impartiality, while remaining firmly tethered to its institutional host. Texas and Florida have demonstrated, writes Alan Mendenhall, that states need not remain supplicants to this regime. Alabama's Supreme Court could follow this example, avoiding the legislative morass that typically frustrates reform. The solution requires no statutory revision, no legislative committee hearings, and no compromises extracted by various lobbyists. It demands only that our Supreme Court here in Alabama recognize what Texas and Florida acknowledged. The power to credential lawyers properly belongs to the states, not to a private organization that has subordinated professional standards to political advocacy. The ABA's transformation from professional association to progressive interest group did not occur overnight, nor was it inevitable. Critics will protest that abandoning ABA accreditation risks a race to the bottom, with states competing to lower standards and flood the legal market with incompetent practitioners. This objection presumes state Supreme Courts lack the capacity or will to maintain rigorous standards, a presumption both insulting and empirically unsupported. State courts have every incentive to ensure that lawyers practicing before them meet exacting professional requirements. Indeed, they may prove more attentive to these concerns than a distant national organization preoccupied with ideological projects. For years, before Faulkner's Thomas Good Jones School of Law was ABA accredited, its graduates, with the blessing of the Alabama Supreme Court, were eligible for membership in the state bar. Miles Law School and Birmingham School of Law both lacked ABA accreditation, but the Alabama Supreme Court allows their graduates to be admitted to the state bar, provided they pass the bar examination and meet other ethical and character requirements. The lesson of Texas and Florida is neither radical nor novel. It is simply a reminder that state Supreme Courts already possess the authority and experience to regulate the legal profession without outsourcing that responsibility to a national organization whose priorities no longer align with professional neutrality. Alabama has done so before and continues to do so without incident or embarrassment. The question is not whether the ABA should exist, but whether its accreditation regime should continue to enjoy compulsory status. Texas and Florida have answered that question sensibly. Alan Mendenhall finishes with Alabama would do well to consider the same course. And of course, Alan is a senior advisor for capital markets initiatives and a research fellow at the Thomas A. Rowe Institute for Economic Policy Studies at the Heritage Foundation. Long and short of it is the ABA's long had a monopoly on accreditation. They've been way too political with that power and have been flexing those muscles in ways obvious and subtle. And it's about time the high courts in given states, especially the Supreme Court here in the great state of Alabama, take back what is their prerogative while maintaining sound standards and not having to get into the mix of all the lobbyists and all the different, say, lawyering groups that'll try to lawyer the hell out of any legislation the legislature might pass. Alan Mendenhall should join us next Monday. We're going to be doing that bi-weekly with him. Always appreciate his insights and his command of the language. I mean, orthogonal, some of these words. Anyway, got to hit this break. We'll be right back.
Want to carry News Talk in your pocket? Download the News Talk 93.1 app from the App Store. Available on iPhone and Android. Never miss a moment. Download now.
At AMS Studios, indulge in the ultimate spa experience at the River Region's premier destination for relaxation and rejuvenation. From advanced skincare like IPL and laser hair removal to body treatments like Evolve, beauty enhancements, and therapeutic massage, our expert team is dedicated to helping you look and feel your best. Explore our full range of services on our website, amsstudiosmedspa.com, and find us on Facebook at AMS Studios.
This hour of News and Views is brought to you by our good friends at Cole Plumbing, 279-8919. Cole Plumbing is number one in the number two business. You don't have to dig a hole. They have proprietary pipelining technology. Ask them about their tankless water heaters. Remember, when you have trouble with your bowl, call on Cole.
All the headlines the mainstream media won't touch. Your News Talk station. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
talk to Ray Walz from Prattville Carpet. Hey, Ray, how you doing today?
I'm good. Sitting here with one of my builders looking at a remodel for a kitchen. And if y'all ever need a good person to remodel, we deal with a lot of really top-end builders, a lot of professionals. Give us a call at 285-817. We'll be glad to make a recommendation because, I mean, if it's moving walls, that's above my pay grade. Moving cabinets, above my pay grade. But we know everybody you need to know to do that. Does that make sense?
That does make a lot of sense. And so y'all can be like the one-stop shop if you get this big project that covers all sorts of things.
Absolutely. We can do small projects like remodel a bathroom, no big deal. Go into remodel a kitchen and moving walls, no, sir, you don't need me. You need somebody else. So if you're ever in the market for that, call 285-8117. We'd be glad to give you several numbers of guys to call, and we'll go from there.
Again, that's 285-8117, and be sure to tell them you heard Ray Bowles on the radio with that Joey Clark fellow.
All right, we'll see you. Bye.
Appreciate you. So, got a few minutes here, and, oh no, I happened to look at X, and, you know, one of the guys that stormed that Baptist church, who probably, we'll see, because the Trump DOJ's made a lot of threats, hasn't always followed through, but Don Lemon, he reappeared. And he was one of the guys storming that church. Like, just interrupt the middle of a church service. You know, I was raised Catholic, so I don't know exactly what all you Baptists are doing. I've been to a few services. It's lovely. But in the middle of the pastor preaching and teaching, these folks walk in with cameras and start with their shouts and their chants and hands up, don't shoot, and justice for Renee Good and blah, 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 blah. Ah. Well, Don Lemon, who came under fire for doing this, and also just being an agitator, like way too passive-aggressive for a man. Well, after storming a church in Minnesota, Don Lemon says white Christians are quote-unquote entitled and engaged in quote-unquote white supremacy, says he is being targeted because he is a gay black man. It's not the type of Christianity that I practice. I think that they're entitled, and that entitlement comes from a supremacy, a white supremacy. I said, how did I become the face of this? And my producer said, Don, you're a gay black man in America, and you have a platform, and you're the biggest name. Of course, you're going to be the person that they single out. Oh, you know Don Lemon had a frickin' orgasm right in his pants when he saw all the attention he was getting for this. Then he gets to run around and go, it's because I'm gay and black that they... No, you're the one who has a familiar face from your time on CNN. You were in the church. You were live streaming it. And it's not just you that's been singled out, but my God, these are such catty, miserable people. Catty. Seriously, you get like womanly vibes from this asshole that Don Lemon is. You get the attention you want, and then you cry, oh, I've got too much attention. And here I am, giving him even more attention. And in fact, that seems to be the name of the game of a lot of content creators these days. Not about truth. It's about what riles people up. It's about engagement. It's about stirring the pot, playing with people's emotions, and never being accountable for a damn thing you ever say. And Don Lemon does it in a brilliant way. But at the end of the day, he's, talk about not a world historic figure. And he eventually will be forgotten. Most of us will be forgotten in the sands of time. Glad you ran the good race there, Don, or something to that effect. And seriously, like, I'm not trying to judge people here, but, like, when you read the New Testament, do folks just, like, pick and choose?
that the thing? Like, for the longest time, I've said I did not believe. I was raised to believe, and as a kid, I did believe. And then I felt like a prodigal son, lost in the world, mostly caving in on myself. And so as in the last year, into this year, I've been picking back up the Bible and studying it seriously and taking what it has to say, whether it's Jesus Christ himself in the Gospels, or it's Paul, or it's Peter, or it's James, or even John in the book of Revelation. I see all these folks prancing around going, well, I don't have to pay attention to those injunctions. What? There are a lot of hard lessons in the New Testament, especially the Old Testament. There are a lot of stumbling blocks and hard lessons indeed. Some I struggle with myself. But I think it's mighty rich for folks to go, yep, I'm out and proud and I'm a Christian. Okay. I guess you're going to ignore all the injunctions and comments about sexual immorality. And that goes for fornicators who sleep with the opposite sex too. And we got a lot of them. It's just another thing, right? It's just like eating too much food. It's just, gluttony's not a big deal. What's the problem with all this stuff? And again, as I wrestle with this stuff, and some of the lessons are tough lessons and stumbling blocks at times, it seems mighty convenient that everybody can put the mantle of Jesus Christ in front of them and then just live how they want to live anyway, because he's all about love and forgiveness. Okay. Like I always say, it's not what you say, because I'm pretty used to saying a bunch of crap. It's what your heart actually says and what you do. Anyway.
You're hell alone.
Yeah.
Why?
Well, the other guy had to leave early. Greg Budell and David Blackman.
Yes.
They're next.
Broadcasting from the Riverside Chevrolet Master Control Center, this is WACV Cusada, News Talk 93.1 FM. When it's Chevy, it's Riverside.